Brianna Cooper knew her mother had changed the lock because her key went in halfway and stopped. She stood on the front step with a grocery bag against her hip, turning the key once more, as if patience might make it fit. The porch light was on. Through the narrow glass beside the door, she could see Nicole moving in the hall. "Mom?" Nicole looked toward the door, then disappeared into the living room. Brianna knocked. The grocery bag split at the bottom. 2 cans of soup struck the porch, and an apple rolled under the wooden bench. When Nicole opened the door, she kept 1 foot behind it. "You changed the lock. I told you we needed to talk. You said that this morning. You didn't say I couldn't come home." Nicole Cooper was 47, neatly dressed even at the end of a long day, with her dark hair held back by a clip Brianna had given her for Christmas. She looked tired, but not surprised. That was what frightened Brianna. Her mother had already lived through this conversation alone and reached the other side. "Your things are in the carport," Nicole said. Brianna looked past her. "What things?" "Clothes, your bathroom stuff, the boxes from your room." "You packed my room?" "I put everything where it won't get wet." It was late January. Rain had blown under the carport twice that week. Brianna set the torn grocery bag down. "Can I come inside?" Nicole's hand tightened on the door. "That'll only make this harder." "For who?" Neither of them answered. Across the street, someone was dragging a trash bin to the curb. Its wheels knocked over each seam in the pavement. Brianna waited until the sound faded. "I work tomorrow," she said. "My uniform's in there. It's in the blue bag. My charger, front pocket." Brianna glanced toward the carport. 6 black trash bags leaned against the wall beside 3 taped boxes. Her winter coat lay across the top, because it hadn't fit anywhere else. "You could have told me before I came back. I've been trying to tell you for months." "No, you've been telling me to pick up more hours. That isn't the same thing." Nicole's face changed slightly. Not regret exactly. More like discomfort at hearing the difference said aloud. "This house can't keep carrying everybody," she said. "The electric bill went up again. The insurance went up. Everything has gone up. I give you money. When you have it, I gave you money Friday. You gave me $100, Brianna. That was what I had. And I'm supposed to make decisions based on what you might have next week?" Brianna felt her hands getting cold. She tucked them under her arms. "So, that's it? You're 20? I was already taking care of myself at 20. Brianna nearly reminded her that Charles had paid Nicole's rent back then. She could see the story in her mother's face before she said it. The old explanation about how family help had been different in those days. Brianna let it go. "Where am I supposed to sleep tonight?" Nicole looked toward the driveway. Brianna's faded silver hatchback sat behind her. 1 rear window held closed with clear tape. "You have the Rink." For a second, Brianna thought she'd heard wrong. "Stardust is closed. It's still a building. It doesn't have power. You said Isaac had been checking on it. He checks the roof and the pipes. He doesn't live there. I didn't say it was ideal." "No," Brianna said. "You didn't." Nicole drew a slow breath. She had spent the past year telling herself that firmness was not cruelty. Charles's death had unsettled every account and every plan she trusted. The money he left her was less than she expected, and fear made every expense look like a door left open at night. Brianna could not see those calculations. She could only see her mother standing inside a warm house. "There was a letter from the county," Nicole said. "It came here because your address hasn't been updated." "What letter?" "It's in the small box." "What did it say?" "Something about the back taxes." Brianna stepped closer. "You opened my mail? It came to my house, with my name on it. I was trying to find out whether this can come back on me." There it was. Not whether Brianna was all right, not whether she understood the notice, whether the Rink could reach into Nicole's life and take something. "What did it say?" Brianna asked again. Nicole looked away first. "You have 45 days. To do what? Pay what's owed or make arrangements. I don't know. You need to call them." "How much?" "It's in the letter." "How much, Mom?" $24,000. Brianna stared at her. A car passed with water hissing beneath its tires. Somewhere inside the house, the washing machine entered its spin cycle. The ordinary sound made the porch feel even colder. That can't be right. It includes more than 1 year. Grandpa was paying it? Apparently not. He would have told me. Nicole gave her a look that was almost pity. Your grandfather didn't tell anybody half of what he was doing. Brianna thought of Charles at the Rink's front counter, sorting cash receipts into envelopes with a pencil behind his ear. He had taught her to count change there. He'd made her start over whenever she rushed. Money deserved attention, he used to say. Not worship, attention. She hadn't been inside Stardust since the week after his funeral. "Why did you let me take it?" she asked. Nicole's shoulders lifted. "It was left to you. You kept his savings. That was his decision." Landon got the rental house. That house has tenants, repairs, and a mortgage. It also has rent coming in. Talk to Landon if you think he got some wonderful prize. Landon Moss was 28 and had already changed the rental house locks, raised the security deposits, and told everyone he planned to improve the property. Brianna had heard him on the phone, asking a contractor how quickly the kitchens could be made to look newer without replacing the cabinets. At the estate meeting, he'd leaned toward her and whispered, "Maybe the Rink still has some skates you can sell." Then he'd smiled as if he were helping. Brianna looked through the glass again. On the hall table sat the blue ceramic bowl where everyone dropped their keys. Her old house key had probably been in that bowl that morning. She wondered whether Nicole had thrown it away or kept it somewhere. "Can I use the bathroom before I go?" Nicole hesitated. That hesitation finished what the changed lock had started. "Never mind," Brianna said. She picked up the soup cans and pushed them into the torn bag. The apple beneath the bench had a wet leaf stuck to it. She wiped it against her jeans. Nicole opened the door a little wider. "I'm not abandoning you." Brianna stood up. "What would you call this?" "I'm setting a boundary. At 8 o'clock in winter? You knew this couldn't continue. I knew you were mad at me. I'm not mad. That's supposed to make it better?" Nicole lowered her voice. "The neighbors don't need to hear this." Brianna gave a short laugh she didn't mean to make. "Of course." She carried the groceries to her carport boxes. Nicole watched from the doorway but didn't offer to help. Brianna loaded the trash bags through the hatch, pushing aside a blanket, a jug of coolant, and 2 pairs of rental skates Charles had asked her to clean before he died. When she came back for the last box, Nicole held out an envelope. "The notice," she said. Brianna took it. "There's something else in there, from the estate file." Inside was a ring with 4 old keys. One had a square brass head stamped with a small star. Brianna recognized it as the Rink's main entrance key. The second opened the side service door. She didn't know the other 2. "Why didn't you give me these before?" "I thought Landon had." "Landon said you had them." Nicole pressed her lips together. She hadn't known that. Brianna could tell. "Maybe it was a misunderstanding," Nicole said. "Between both of you? Don't start making this into something." Brianna closed her fingers around the keys. "You already made it something." She put the envelope on the passenger seat and drove away before her mother could answer. For the first 10 minutes, she headed toward the employee lot behind the diner where she sometimes slept between late and early shifts. She knew which corner stayed dark after closing. She knew the manager arrived shortly before 5 and never checked the far row unless there was snow. Her hands shook on the steering wheel. At the next light, she saw the brass star resting against her palm. She had kept the keyring looped around one finger without noticing. The Rink was across town on Willow Road. Brianna turned left. Harrison had gone quiet under the cold rain. Most storefronts were dark. A pharmacy sign flashed the temperature above an empty intersection. She passed the rental house Landon had inherited, a narrow brick place with 4 units and bright porch lamps. 2 cars were parked outside. Someone had put a small rug in front of the nearest door. The place was earning money while she drove by with her life in trash bags. She kept going. Stardust Roller Rink stood at 417 Willow Road, behind a wide parking lot split by weeds. Its roadside sign had lost 2 letters, leaving Star UST in faded blue. A chain sagged across the main driveway, but the side entrance was open where delivery trucks once came through. The building was low and broad, with cream brick, dark windows, and a shallow metal roof. Charles had painted the front doors red every few years. The paint was now peeling near the handles. Brianna parked beneath the overhang and left the engine running. She could have gone back to the diner lot. Her car had heat once the engine warmed. The Rink had no power, no bed, and a tax bill larger than anything she had earned in her life. Then she saw something through the front glass. A light moved inside. Brianna locked the car and held the service key between her fingers. She went around the building, stepping over wet leaves gathered against the wall. The side door was shut, but fresh mud marked the concrete outside it. She tried the key. It turned. The door opened into the skate repair room. Brianna smelled rubber, machine oil, and the damp sweetness of old carpet. A flashlight beam crossed the far wall. "Who's there?" a man called. "Isaac?" The beam dropped at once. Isaac Powell came through the repair room doorway, wearing a canvas coat and a knit cap. At 61, he moved carefully until a machine gave him trouble. Then he forgot his knees hurt. "Brianna," he said, "what are you doing here this late?" She held up the keys, though he hadn't asked for proof. "Apparently I own the place." Isaac studied her face, then looked past her toward the car. The trash bags were visible through the rear window. He understood more than she wanted him to. "I was checking the buckets," he said. "What buckets?" He led her onto the main rink floor. Rain tapped against the metal roof. 3 plastic buckets sat beyond the rail, each beneath a dark patch in the ceiling. One was nearly full. Isaac moved it a few inches with his boot, so the next drip landed near the center. The room around them emerged in pieces under his flashlight. Rows of benches, the dark snack counter, a line of rental skates behind wire mesh. The polished maple floor looked gray without its overhead lights. At the far end stood the old organ, covered by a canvas sheet. Charles had built its raised wooden platform years before Brianna was old enough to reach the pedals. He used to play the opening music on Saturday nights, never especially well, but loud enough to bring everyone onto the floor. Isaac pointed toward a stain spreading above the north wall. "That one's new," he said. Wind lifted part of the roof edge. "How bad?" "Bad enough to fix, not bad enough to panic. I have 45 days to pay the taxes." Isaac was quiet. "You knew?" she asked. "I knew Charles fell behind. I didn't know the county had set a date. Everybody knew more about this place than I did. Not everybody." She looked at him. Isaac owned the repair tools, replacement wheels, bearings, laces, and boxes of parts stacked behind the counter. Charles had let him keep the stock there in exchange for maintaining the rink equipment. With Stardust closed, Isaac had been doing small repair jobs from his garage, but half his working life remained on these shelves. "I know which breaker used to spark," he said. "I know the roof leaks. I know your grandfather told me not to throw out a single service manual. I don't know why he left you a building with a tax bill. At least you admit it. I generally admit things when standing under a leaking roof." Despite herself, Brianna smiled. Isaac handed her the flashlight and walked to the manager's office. He tried the knob, then pointed to the smallest key on her ring. It fit. The office was cramped, with a desk, 2 metal filing cabinets, and a narrow couch beneath the window. Dust covered everything. A dead clock showed 11 minutes past 3. Brianna swept the flashlight over the couch. "Does the door lock from inside?" Isaac checked it. "It does now." He tightened 2 screws in the latch plate with a tool from his pocket. Then he pulled the door hard. It held. That small click mattered more than Brianna wanted him to know. "You can't run a heater until I inspect the wiring," he said. "There's a water tap in the janitor's closet, but don't drink from it yet. Restroom pipes were drained. I can come back in the morning. I have work. What time?" 10. I'll be here at 7. She started to say she hadn't asked him. Then she looked through the office window at the buckets on the rink floor. "Why were you checking this place tonight? Because rain was forecast." "No." "Why are you still checking it?" Isaac glanced toward the covered organ. "Charles asked me to keep it from being ruined." "For how long?" He didn't say. That answer left another question in the room, but Brianna was too tired to chase it. Together they brought in her boxes. Isaac cleared old schedules and receipt books from the couch, while Brianna spread her blanket across the cracked vinyl cushions. In the bottom desk drawer, she found a clean roll of paper towels, a packet of peppermint candies, and a handwritten list in Charles's blocky print. Check north drain, oil rental rack wheels, call Isaac about base vibration. Brianna read the last line twice. What base vibration? Isaac took the paper. His face tightened with recognition. The organ started making a low rattle before Charles got sick, he said. We never finished tracing it. Is that dangerous? Probably just loose hardware. Probably wasn't an answer, but it was enough for that night. After Isaac left, Brianna locked the service door, then the office. She placed the tax notice on the desk and wrote the deadline on Charles's old wall calendar. Under it, she wrote 3 words, keep the roof dry. Then she found the least full bucket, carried it outside, emptied it into the rain, and set it beneath the leak again. By morning, the rain had stopped, but the building kept dripping. Brianna woke when water struck the bottom of a bucket hard enough to echo across the rink. Her neck hurt from the office couch. One foot had gone numb, where it rested against a box of clothes. For a few seconds, she couldn't remember why the room smelled like dust and peppermint. Then she saw the tax notice on the desk. She changed into her diner uniform in the dark. The office window reflected a pale shape back at her, hair flattened on one side, black shirt wrinkled from the trash bag. There was no mirror in the restroom, so she used her phone camera and tied her hair back twice. At 7, the service door opened. "You locked it properly," Isaac called. She stepped into the hall. "You sound surprised." "I'm pleased." That sounds like surprised with better manners. He carried a red toolbox and 2 paper cups. He gave her one. "Coffee, no sugar. That's how you took it at the funeral." Brianna looked at him. "You remembered?" Wasn't much else to do that day except remember things. They walked through the dark rink. Isaac checked the buckets, then led her to an electrical room near the rear exit. The door was painted gray and had a narrow metal plate where the knob should have been. Brianna tried the 2 unfamiliar keys. The longer one turned the lock. "One mystery solved," she said. "Don't spend the reward all at once." Inside, Isaac aimed his flashlight at a row of breaker panels. Paper tags hung from several switches. Charles's handwriting labeled the snack counter, office, floor lights, organ, repair room, and outside sign. The main disconnect had been pulled. "Did the power company do that?" Brianna asked. "Looks like it." "So, the building isn't going to burn down when I turn something on?" "You're not turning anything on. I meant later." "I know what you meant." He removed the cover from the nearest panel. Brianna held the flashlight while he examined the wiring. His hands were broad and marked with old cuts, but he touched each wire with care. "Your grandfather replaced this panel," he said. "The older one was trouble. I did most of the branch circuits with him." "When?" "Several winters ago." "Was I here?" "You brought sandwiches once." Brianna remembered the sandwiches. Nicole had complained that Charles never ate properly while he worked, then sent Brianna across town with turkey on white bread. Brianna had waited near the door until Charles thanked her. She hadn't stayed to see what he was doing. Isaac moved to another panel. "Some of this needs testing. The roof leak near the north wall is too close to a lighting circuit. If we isolate that section, the rest may be usable. How much would that cost, for me to test it for anything?" "You always ask that first?" "I didn't used to." He looked at her, but he didn't ask why. Her phone rang in her pocket. Nicole's name appeared on the screen. Brianna let it ring twice before answering. "Hello? Where are you?" "At the rink." There was a pause. Nicole had expected Brianna to be in her car or at the diner, somewhere temporary enough to prove her point. "Did you sleep there? What do you need?" "I was checking on you." "I'm fine. Is Isaac with you?" Brianna looked at him. He had turned away and was inspecting a fuse block. "Yes." "Good. He can tell you whether it's safe." "Was there something else?" Nicole's voice softened. "Landon needs the green folder from Grandpa's desk." "Which desk?" "The one at Stardust. He thinks there are rental house receipts in it." Brianna stared through the electrical room doorway. The manager's office sat at the end of the hall. "Why would rental receipts be here? Your grandfather kept papers everywhere. Landon owns the rental house now. He should have the records. He has most of them. He's missing invoices from a plumbing repair. Then he can call the plumber. Brianna, if the folder is there, just let him have it." The request was familiar. Find the receipt, carry the groceries, drive across town because Landon was busy, change her shift because Nicole had an appointment. Each favor had seemed too small to argue about. Brianna had collected them quietly, believing that being useful made her place secure. "Did Landon ask you to call me?" she said. "He called to see if I had the folder. That's not what I asked." Nicole sighed. "He said you might be difficult right now." Brianna almost laughed. "He said that before asking me for something? He needs the records for his taxes." "So do I." This isn't a contest. It had never been a contest, because Brianna had never been allowed to keep score. "I'll look," she said. The answer came out before she decided to give it. Nicole relaxed at once. Brianna could hear it in the next breath. "Thank you. He'll come by this afternoon. I work until 4. He has a key." Brianna looked down at her key ring. "What key?" "To the rink." "No, he doesn't. He was helping Grandpa with the building last year." "Helping with, what?" "I don't know. Clearing things out." Brianna straightened. "What did he clear out?" "I don't know, Brianna. Old equipment. Things nobody was using." "Did Grandpa agree to that?" "He was sick. Landon was trying to reduce the burden." Isaac glanced toward her now. Tell him not to come inside unless I'm here, Brianna said. Don't be childish. It's my building. Then act like an owner and cooperate. Nicole ended the call. Brianna kept the phone against her ear for a moment after the line went quiet. She had agreed to search for the folder. Nicole had still managed to make her feel selfish. Isaac replaced the panel cover. What was cleared out? Brianna asked. Not with my permission. That isn't an answer. 6 months before Charles died, Landon took the floor scrubber and 2 portable sound cabinets. Why? Said Charles told him to sell them. Did he? Charles could barely talk that week. I asked him later. He got angry. At Landon, at himself, mostly. He said he'd waited too long to put things in order. Brianna felt the words settle somewhere unpleasant. What happened to the equipment? The sound cabinets were sold. The scrubbers in Landon's storage unit, unless he moved it. And nobody told me. You didn't own Stardust then. I was his granddaughter. Isaac closed his toolbox. That didn't make people tell you things. The sentence was plain, with no cruelty in it. That made it harder to dismiss. At the manager's office, Brianna unlocked both filing cabinets. The top drawers held payroll forms, old supplier bills, and inspection records. The lower drawers were swollen from damp and resisted until Isaac worked a flat tool along the edges. They found 3 green folders. One contained food service permits. Another held warranty papers for the heating unit. The third was marked Moss House. Brianna sat behind the desk and opened it. Plumbing invoices were clipped together in date order. Behind them were handwritten notes showing rent collected and repairs paid. Charles had recorded everything down to a replacement mailbox and 2 gallons of hallway paint. Isaac looked over her shoulder. That what he wants? Probably. At the back of the folder, Brianna found a receipt for the floor scrubber. It belonged to Stardust, purchased years earlier from a janitorial supplier in Springfield. Charles had written beside it, "Do not transfer. Rink asset." She turned the receipt toward Isaac. "There's your answer," he said. "He'll say Grandpa changed his mind. Maybe he did. You don't believe that. What I believe won't bring the machine back." Brianna photographed the receipt. Then she removed the plumbing invoices and put them in a plain envelope. The floor scrubber receipt stayed in the Rink folder. It was a small decision, but it was the first time she had separated what Landon needed from what he wanted. She made it to the diner with 3 minutes to spare. The morning crowd had thinned, leaving wet rings from coffee mugs across the counter. Brianna tied on an apron and worked without mentioning where she'd slept. She refilled sugar jars, carried plates, and smiled when customers apologized for making changes after ordering. Around noon, Nicole came in. She chose a booth near the front window and set her purse beside her. Brianna saw her immediately, but another server had already taken the table. For 10 minutes, Nicole watched Brianna work. Brianna knew what her mother wanted. She wanted Brianna to come over first, to show there was no lasting trouble, to make the public version of them look ordinary again. Brianna delivered 2 lunches, cleared a table, and carried a pot of coffee past the booth. "Are you not speaking to me?" Nicole asked. "I'm working. I can see that." "Do you need something?" Nicole glanced toward the counter. "Sit down for a minute. I can't. You get breaks. In 20 minutes. I won't be here in 20 minutes. Brianna held the coffee pot between them. "Then tell me now." Nicole lowered her voice. "I brought your mail." She took 3 envelopes from her purse. A phone bill, a bank notice, and a grocery coupon addressed to resident. "You can change your address at the post office," Nicole said. "I need an address to change it to. The Rink has one. Can I receive mail at a closed business? I don't know." "Ask them." Brianna took the envelopes. Nicole touched the edge of her water glass. "How was last night? Cold?" "I told you it wasn't ideal." A year earlier, Brianna would have rescued her from that moment. She would have said the couch was comfortable or the building wasn't too bad. She would have offered a detail Nicole could repeat later without feeling guilty. Instead, she stood quietly. Nicole looked toward the window. "You could call your friend from work. She moved to Tulsa." "What about the girl you used to share rides with?" "We haven't spoken in months. I thought you had people." Brianna heard the concern beneath the accusation. Nicole needed there to have been other choices. If Brianna had nowhere else, then the locked door meant what it looked like. "I thought I had a place," Brianna said. Her manager called for coffee at the counter. Brianna lifted the pot. "I have to go. Landon said you found the folder. I found his plumbing invoices. He needs the whole folder." "No, he doesn't." Nicole's eyes narrowed. "Don't use this situation to punish him. The folder includes Rink records. What Rink records? A receipt for equipment he took. Nicole went still for half a second. That was enough. You knew? Brianna said. I knew he moved some things. You knew Grandpa didn't want him to. I knew they disagreed. You told me it was old equipment nobody used. It was closed, Brianna. Not then. Nicole looked around to see whether anyone was listening. We are not doing this here. You came here. I came because I was worried. You came for the folder. The manager called Brianna again, sharper this time. Nicole stood and pulled her purse onto her shoulder. Give Landon what belongs with the house. I will. And the rest stays at Stardust. Nicole left money beneath the water glass, though she hadn't ordered anything. Brianna carried the coffee to the counter. Her hands were steady until she set down the pot. Then she gripped the laminate edge and waited for the shaking to pass. She had wanted one of them to admit the pattern. Nicole's silence had done it. The truth didn't make Brianna feel stronger. It showed her how often she had helped the pattern continue. Every time Nicole had asked her to keep the peace, Brianna had done the uncomfortable work for everyone. Every time Landon had borrowed something, she had accepted his promise to return it. She had called that patience. Sometimes it was fear. At 4, Landon's truck was parked beside the rink. He stood under the overhang with one hand in his jacket pocket. He wore clean work boots and a gray pullover that made him look as if he had come from an office. Though Brianna knew he spent most afternoons driving between properties and talking about projects he hadn't started. You changed the side door lock? He asked. No, my key doesn't work. It worked recently. Grandpa gave it to me. When? Landon shrugged. A while back. Brianna unlocked the door but stayed in the opening. I brought the invoices. I need the folder. The folder has Stardust records, so take those out. I already took your invoices out. His smile was brief. Why make this difficult? I'm not. I've got an accountant waiting. Then this should save him time. She held out the envelope. Landon took it but didn't leave. He looked through the doorway toward the repair room. You staying here? For now? There's no occupancy permit. It was built with a manager's apartment. That office isn't an apartment. It has a locking door. He glanced at her car, at the blanket visible through the glass, then back toward the rink. You know Mom's trying to help you. Brianna felt the old pull to explain herself. If she could make Landon understand, maybe he would tell Nicole she wasn't being unreasonable. Then Nicole might call, she might soften, she might say Brianna could return while they sorted things out. That hope had kept Brianna agreeable for years. What happened to the floor scrubber? She asked. Landon's expression barely moved. What scrubber? The one Grandpa said not to transfer. I don't remember him saying that. He wrote it on the receipt. That doesn't mean he didn't tell me something later. Where is it? I'd have to check. Check today. He gave a quiet breath through his nose. You inherit a dead building and suddenly you're taking inventory? Yes. The word surprised both of them. Landon folded the envelope and put it in his pocket. That machine's probably worth a few $100s. Then returning it shouldn't be a problem. I'll see what I can do. I need it here before the weekend. What happens this weekend? Brianna hadn't known until he asked. She looked through the repair room window at Isaac's shelves, the rows of wheels and bearings still waiting behind dusty glass. We're opening the repair counter. Landon laughed once, but Brianna didn't fill the silence after it. He left without asking to come inside. Brianna locked the door and called Isaac. When he answered, she told him what she had said. There was a pause. Were you planning to ask me? He said. I'm asking now. That counter needs power. You said part of the building might be usable. It needs cleaning. I can clean it. My stock needs counting. I can help. You work weekends. I can change my schedule. Isaac was quiet again. Don't change it yet. Meet me there tomorrow at 7. When the call ended, Brianna went into the repair room. She lifted the canvas cover from the counter and rolled it carefully toward herself. Beneath the dust, the glass display case was unbroken. She found a spray bottle, tested it at the sink, and began wiping the first clear strip across the glass. The cloth came away brown, then gray, then clean. Brianna worked until the display case reflected the beam of her flashlight. When she finished, she placed 3 unopened packages of red laces inside it. The counter still looked abandoned, but it no longer looked forgotten. At 7 the next morning, Isaac arrived with a meter, a folding work light, and a paper sack of biscuits. You've been busy, he said. I cleaned 1 counter. That's more than anyone else cleaned this year. He set the biscuits beside the register. Then he began counting his stock. Brianna wrote each item in a spiral notebook. Wheels went first, sorted by size and hardness. Then bearings, toe stops, laces, insoles, heel plugs, and small bags of screws. Some packages had yellowed labels, others were new enough to sell. "Why did you leave all this here?" she asked. "Charles didn't charge me rent?" After he closed, he said. "We'd settle it when Stardust opened again." "Did you think it would?" Isaac counted 8 sets of black wheels before answering. "I thought he believed it would." "That isn't what I asked." "It's the answer I have." Brianna wrote down the wheels. "If we open the counter, how do we split the money? My stock, my repair work. You keep a counter fee. How much? 10%. That won't cover electricity. 15, 20. Isaac looked at her over his glasses. She held his gaze, though asking for more made her feel ungrateful. 20 includes me helping with customers and cleaning, she said, not repairs. You know how to mount wheels? Grandpa taught me. He taught you once. I remember. Isaac took an old skate from beneath the bench and set it in front of her. One wheel dragged. He placed the tools beside it. Brianna removed the axle nut, lined the parts on a cloth, changed the bearing, and put the wheel back without being told. It took her longer than it would have taken him. When she spun the wheel, it turned freely. 20%, he said. She wrote the agreement on the first page of the notebook. They both signed it. The power company required the delinquent balance on the building's utility account before they would reconnect service. Brianna learned that during her first call. The amount was just over $900. She sat at Charles's desk with the phone pressed to her ear. I don't have that, she told the representative. Isaac stopped sorting parts. The representative explained that the old balance belonged to the estate, but the meter could not be reopened under the same account until it was resolved. Brianna asked whether she could begin new service as the current owner. There was a longer wait. Music played through the phone while she watched water gather at the bottom of a bucket outside the office. The answer was yes, but only after an inspection and a deposit. How much is the deposit? $300. Brianna had $386 in her bank account. Payday was 5 days away. Her car needed gas, and the diner charged employees for meals unless they worked a full shift. Can I pay it in 2 parts? The representative said no. Brianna thanked her and ended the call. Don't, Isaac said. I didn't say anything. You're thinking about using all your money, not all of it. Nearly all is generally included in all. If the counter opens, we can earn some back, not by tomorrow, then next weekend. You don't know if anyone will come. Brianna looked at the cleaned glass case. Do you? No, then we find out. The electrical inspection cost nothing because the city included one initial visit with a service request. Isaac called the inspector himself and arranged for him to come that afternoon. Until then, they isolated the north wall circuits and marked them with red tape. Brianna drove to the bank during her lunch break. She withdrew $300 in cash because seeing the bills made the decision feel real. Then she returned to the Rink and paid the deposit over the phone with her debit card. The cash went back into her account before her shift ended. At 4, she found a message from Landon. He had sent a photograph of the floor scrubber in his storage unit. The serial number matched the number on Charles's receipt. Can bring it Sunday, he had written. Need help unloading. Brianna replied with the address, though he knew it. It was the first thing she had asked him to return that he had not argued about until she gave up. The success felt smaller than it should have, but she saved the photograph anyway. The inspector arrived while Isaac was testing outlets in the office. He approved service for the repair room, office, restrooms, and several rear fixtures. He did not approve the main Rink lighting or the north wall circuits. You've got moisture above that run, he told Brianna. Keep those breakers off until the roof is sealed and the wiring is checked again. How much wiring needs replacement? I can't tell you until it's dry, so it might be fine. It might. She was beginning to dislike that word. The power company restored service before 6. The office ceiling light came on first. It buzzed, flickered twice, and stayed lit. Brianna stood beneath it with her coat still on. The room hadn't changed. The couch was cracked. The filing cabinets were dented. Dust marked the baseboards. But she could see all of it at once, and for the first time since leaving Nicole's house, she didn't have to conserve her phone battery to find her own clothes. Isaac switched on the repair room lights. 3 fluorescent tubes worked. 1 blinked slowly. Luxury, Brianna said. Don't get spoiled. They tested the outlets one by one. The grinder ran. The bearing press worked. The small bench lamp came on. Isaac plugged in the old register, but its display remained dark. Cash box, he said. Simpler anyway. Brianna checked the restroom. The pipes held pressure after Isaac opened the valves. Brown water ran from the sink for nearly a minute, then cleared. He still told her not to drink it until a water sample was tested, but the toilet flushed. She washed her hands with cold water and used the restroom mirror to fix her hair. That night, she slept with the office light on. On Saturday morning, they taped a handwritten sign to the front glass. Skate, repairs, and parts. 10 until 2. Side door. Brianna posted the same message on the Rink's old social media page. She had found the password in Charles's desk beneath a list of supplier phone numbers. The page had not been updated in more than a year. Within 15 minutes, someone replied, "Is Isaac really back?" Brianna showed him. "Apparently I was gone," he said. "You were working from your garage. People don't know where my garage is. Then maybe we should tell them." She added his name to the post. The first customer arrived at 10:20 with a pair of white skates inside a pillowcase. She had driven from the other side of Harrison because Isaac had once replaced a broken plate for her. The second customer needed new toe stops. The third brought 2 pairs and stayed, while Isaac cleaned the bearings. By noon, 6 people had come through the service door. They asked when the rink was reopening. Brianna gave the same answer each time. "We're starting with repairs." It sounded less like an excuse after the fourth person nodded and said, "That makes sense." One customer asked if he could see the floor. Brianna almost said no. Then she opened the repair room door and led him to the rail. The overhead rink lights remained off, but daylight entered through the high windows. The man stood quietly for a moment. "My wife and I met here," he said. "Tuesday adult skate." Brianna smiled. "My grandfather used to say Tuesdays kept the lights on." He wasn't wrong. Before leaving, the man bought 2 sets of laces he didn't need yet. At 2, Brianna locked the side door and counted the money. After setting aside the cost of parts and Isaac's repair share, Stardust's portion was $78. It didn't replace the utility deposit. It didn't touch the taxes. It wasn't enough to repair one section of roof. Brianna put the bills in an envelope and wrote Rink income across the front. "We worked 4 hours for that," Isaac said. "You earned more. I did the skilled part. I found the customers. The old page found them. I found the password." Isaac smiled and handed her another $10 bill. "What's that?" "Counter fee from the repair I finished before you arrived. That isn't part of today. It was picked up today." She accepted it and changed the total in the notebook. After they cleaned the counter, Isaac took his toolbox toward the service door. Brianna picked up Charles's handwritten list from the desk. "What about the bass vibration?" Isaac looked toward the rink. "We don't have the floor circuits approved," he said. "The organ has its own breaker. It also hasn't been powered in more than a year. Can we test it safely?" "Safely is a large word. Can we test it carefully?" He set the toolbox down. The organ stood on a wooden platform about 6 inches above the rink floor. Its polished cabinet had gone dull beneath the canvas. Isaac removed the cover, folding it inward so the dust stayed trapped. 2 keyboards faced the empty floor. A row of switches sat above them. The bass pedals curved outward below the bench. Brianna ran a finger along the wood. "Grandpa used to let me turn it on." "He let you press the start switch. I turned it on. I thought I was doing it. That was the arrangement." Isaac opened a narrow service panel on the back. He checked the wiring with his meter and replaced one cracked fuse from a box in the repair room. "You kept organ fuses with skate parts?" "I kept everything Charles might ask for." Brianna held the work light while he examined the lower connections. "Why didn't he fix the vibration?" she asked. "He planned to. Then he stopped coming in regularly because he was sick? Mostly? Isaac leaned back on his heels. "He and Nicole argued here one afternoon. He didn't tell me what it was about. After that, she started driving him to appointments, and he came less often." "When was that?" "Not long before Landon took the equipment." Brianna thought about calling Nicole. She already knew how the conversation would go. Nicole would ask why Isaac was telling her family business. Then she would answer a different question from the one Brianna asked. "Did Grandpa seem afraid of her?" Brianna said. "No." "Angry?" "Yes." "At what?" "I don't know." Isaac closed the service panel. "Ready?" He directed her to stand clear. Then he switched on the organ circuit at the rear panel. The instrument made a soft mechanical click. A faint hum rose inside the cabinet. Isaac waited, listening. "No smoke," Brianna said. That's the minimum standard? He sat on the bench and pressed one key. A thin note sounded through the rink. Several other keys worked. 2 did not. The volume control scratched. Isaac tried a chord, and the organ answered unevenly but clearly. Brianna hadn't expected the sound to affect her. It brought back Saturday evenings when Charles wore the same blue shirt and announced the last skate too early because his knees hurt. It brought back waiting at the rail for him to notice she had cleaned the rental shelves. She had spent years trying to earn a place he had already given her, though he had never explained what that place would cost. Isaac pressed the lowest bass pedal. A deep note sounded, followed by a rough vibration beneath them. He released the pedal. The vibration stopped. Again, Brianna said. Isaac pressed it once more. The organ held the note. Something below the platform rattled in a slower rhythm, too heavy to be a loose panel. That's not coming from the cabinet, Isaac said. He switched off the organ and stepped down. Brianna crouched beside the platform while he pressed his palm against its lower trim. You knew about this sound? She asked. I heard a lighter version, not that. He tapped along the wood. Most sections answered with a flat knock. Near the left corner, the sound changed. Brianna aimed the work light lower. 4 bolts secured the trim around the platform. 3 were dark with age. The 4th was bright steel, and the wood surrounding it had fresh tool marks beneath the dust. Someone removed this, she said. Or tried to? Landon? I didn't see him touch the organ, but it happened recently. Isaac rubbed one mark with his thumb. More recently than the other bolts. Brianna photographed the corner before either of them touched it. Then she photographed the full platform, the service panel, and Charles's note about the vibration. She had opened the repair counter to make a little money. Now she knew someone had worked on the organ platform without recording the repair, and Charles had been trying to trace a sound beneath it. Isaac reached for a wrench. Brianna stopped him. Not yet, she said. First we find out what was moved, who had access, and whether this platform is carrying more than the organ. She returned to the office and started a new page in the notebook. At the top, she wrote every Rink key she knew existed. Beside Landon's name, she left an empty line. The empty line bothered her more than a name would have. Brianna checked Charles's desk again. She found 2 service door keys taped inside an envelope marked spares. One matched hers. The other looked newer. Isaac had his own key, and Charles had carried one. That accounted for 4. Landon's key made 5, unless he had been lying about it. Brianna called him. He answered from inside his truck. She could hear the turn signal ticking. What? He said. How many Stardust keys do you have? Mine doesn't work. That isn't what I asked. 1. Where did you get it? Grandpa, before or after he got sick. Why does that matter? Because someone removed part of the organ platform. The turn signal stopped. What are you talking about? One of the bolts has been replaced. It's an old building. Lots of bolts have been replaced. This one has fresh marks. Landon was quiet long enough to confirm he understood why she was asking. You think I was messing with that organ? He said. I think you had a key you didn't tell me about. I told you yesterday. After I found out it didn't work. You're getting strange about this place. Bring the key when you return the scrubber. It's useless. Then you won't miss it. He ended the call. Brianna wrote one beside his name. She didn't add a question mark, though she wanted to. Isaac returned the wrench to his toolbox. You expect him to admit it if he touched the platform? No? Then what are you trying to learn? Whether he reacts before I show him the marks. And he reacted. That's not proof. I know. Isaac seemed relieved to hear her say it. They agreed not to remove the trim until daylight. The organ was heavy, and the platform had been built around its electrical connections. Isaac wanted room to work and enough time to put everything back if they found nothing. Brianna locked the office notebook in the lower filing cabinet. On Sunday morning, Landon arrived almost an hour late with the floor scrubber strapped in the bed of his truck. One side was scratched, and the power cord had been wound around the handle. You said you needed help unloading, Brianna said. I did. Where's the help? You and Isaac are here. Isaac stood at the service door with a loading ramp. Landon backed the truck toward it. Together, they rolled the machine into the repair room. Brianna checked the serial number against the photograph and the receipt. The numbers matched. Does it run? She asked. It did when I took it. That wasn't what I asked. I haven't used it. Isaac inspected the plug, then connected it to a tested outlet. The motor started with a low whine. The brushes turned. Brianna switched it off. Thank you for bringing it back. She meant the words. She also knew Landon was waiting for more. He wanted relief, friendliness, some sign that returning property he should not have taken had settled the question. Instead, she held out her hand. The key. He took it from his pocket and dropped it into her palm. It was a copy, cut on a silver blank with no markings. Is this the only one? Yes. Did you ever lend it to anyone? No. Did Grandpa know you still had it? Landon's jaw shifted. He gave it to me. Isaac kept his eyes on the scrubber. When did you last come inside? Brianna asked. Before he died. To take the equipment? To help clear things out. Did you touch the organ? No. Did you remove the platform trim? I said no. You didn't. You said you weren't messing with the organ. Landon looked past her toward the rink floor. What exactly did you find? A change bolt. That's all? For now. His concern eased too quickly. He walked into the rink without asking. Brianna followed and caught up with him at the rail. You need to stop. I want to see what you're talking about. It's not open to you. He turned. I've been coming here my whole life. So have I. Grandpa trusted me with a key. He trusted you to return it. Landon looked at the key in her hand. He disliked being refused in front of Isaac. Brianna could see him deciding whether the argument was worth having. You're going to get buried by this building, he said. Mom told me about the taxes. I know what I owe. You don't even have a place to live. I'm living here, in an office. Yes. He glanced at the dark ceiling. What happens when the county takes it? I have time. Not much. He walked back toward the service door, then stopped beside the repair counter. I could take it off your hands, he said. Pay you enough to get into an apartment. How much? I'd need to look at the numbers. Give me a number, maybe 2,000. I'd handle the taxes. Brianna stared at him. It's better than losing it for nothing, he said. I could sell the fixtures, clear the lot, maybe recover part of what I put in. There was no mention of keeping the rink, no mention of Charles. You came prepared to offer, she said. I'm trying to help. You didn't know about the platform until yesterday. That has nothing to do with it. Then why now? Because now I know you're serious enough to hurt yourself. Brianna opened the service door. I'm not selling it to you. Think about it. I just did. Landon stepped outside. The offer won't stay open. She shut the door before he reached his truck. Her hand remained on the lock. Refusing him felt good for less than a minute. Then she remembered the tax notice and understood why his offer had power. $2,000 would give her a deposit on an apartment, food, gas, and time to find steadier work. Keeping Stardust meant she might lose all of that and still lose the rink. Isaac moved the scrubber against the wall. He'll come back with a different number, he said. You think it's worth more? I think he does. They crossed to the organ. Daylight showed the marks around the bright bolt clearly. Isaac photographed them again, then laid towels beneath the lower trim to catch dust and screws. The newer bolt came free easily. The three older ones resisted. Isaac loosened them by hand after treating each with oil. Brianna held the trim as he removed the final bolt. Slow, he said. I am going slow. You're pulling. I'm supporting. You're pulling while supporting. The wooden strip shifted less than an inch, then stopped. Isaac knelt and shone the work light into the gap. There's something behind it. A bracket? Could be. They worked along the edge with flat tools, careful not to split the old wood. A row of small finishing nails had been driven through from the side, hidden beneath a coat of stain. Isaac clipped them, one at a time. The trim finally came free. Behind it, dust covered the outer face of the platform. Near the left corner, a dark steel edge ran beneath the wood and disappeared into the concrete floor. Brianna touched it. That isn't an organ bracket. No. What is it? Isaac brushed the dust away. The steel continued for more than a foot before vanishing beneath the platform. Could be an old utility cover. Under the organ, the platform was built later than the floor. Can we remove more wood? Not without moving the organ. She looked at the cabinet. How heavy? Heavy enough that guessing would be foolish. The organ could not simply be pushed aside. Electrical lines entered through the platform. A speaker cable ran toward the wall. The cabinet was secured at 2 points to keep it from shifting when the bass pedals were used. Isaac lay on his side and aimed the light beneath the pedal assembly. The newer bolt wasn't holding anything important, he said. Someone probably removed the trim, saw the steel, and put it back. Why replace only one bolt? Maybe they damaged the old one, or they were interrupted. Maybe. Brianna looked toward the service door. Can we shift the organ? She asked. Yes, not today. What do we need? A furniture dolly rated for the weight. Wire labels, new connectors, help. How much? I'll price it. The answer added another cost to a list that already had no room. A knock sounded at the front doors. A woman stood outside holding a flat cardboard box against her chest. Brianna recognized her face without remembering the name. Silver hair, red raincoat, glasses on a cord. Isaac did remember. Dawn Fisher, he said. Brianna let her in. Dawn was 58 and spoke as if she had arrived halfway through a conversation. I saw the repair notice, she said. Then I saw lights last night. Not Rink lights, but lights are lights. Her eyes moved past Brianna to the exposed organ platform. You're working on Charles's old problem. You knew about the vibration? Brianna asked. I knew he complained about it. What did he think caused it? He never told me. Dawn set the cardboard box on the nearest bench. Inside were photographs, employee schedules, and several flyers from Stardust's busiest years. I worked the snack counter, then the office, she said. Your grandfather told me to take these when a pipe burst in the storage room. I kept meaning to return them. Brianna lifted the first photograph. Charles stood beside the organ with a younger Isaac. The platform trim was newly stained. A date had been written on the back. 2004. He built the platform then? Brianna asked. Isaac checked the picture. That's when we installed the organ. What was here before? Bare floor, as far as I knew. Brianna showed Dawn the steel edge. Dawn crouched near it, but did not touch it. That was covered when I worked here. Did Charles ever mention something under the floor? No. He did talk about keeping the roadside of the property clear. The parking lot? The strip near Willow Road. Brianna looked through the high windows toward the front lawn and the outer rows of cracked pavement. Why? Buyers kept asking for it. A pharmacy group once, then a discount store. They wanted the frontage without the rink. Brianna frowned. Could he sell one without the other? That's what they were trying to arrange. Did he? No. He said selling that piece without a plan for Stardust would leave the building boxed in and broke. Isaac stood very still beside them. How do you know all this? Brianna asked. I was helping with his paperwork then. Do you still have any of it? No. It stayed here or went with Charles. Dawn's attention returned to the platform. What are you hoping to find? I don't know yet. That's an honest answer. Brianna began sorting the photographs by date. Several showed the front parking area during outdoor events. One had survey flags along Willow Road. Why did you really come today? She asked. Dawn rested both hands on the cardboard box. I work for a regional grocery cooperative now. We've been looking at sites in Harrison. The buyers are back, not the old ones. My cooperative needs frontage, access, and room for a smaller store. I saw Stardust's page come alive and checked the address. This morning? Last night. You came here as Charles's former employee or as an acquisition manager? Both. That's why I wanted to tell you before asking anything. Brianna looked toward the front of the building. Until then, the pavement had been one more damaged part of Stardust. Now, someone wanted it for a reason she did not understand. And Landon had offered money the day after learning she was inspecting the organ. Are you offering to buy the rink? She asked. No, the front part. I don't know what can be bought. I need to see how the property is described and who owns what. Brianna thought of the tax notice. It named Stardust Roller Rink, but she had never read the full property description. Dawn closed the photograph box. If the road frontage can be separated, she said, then you have a decision to make. If it can't, my cooperative has no interest. Brianna had found a steel edge beneath the organ, and a buyer asking about land she hadn't known might be separate. Neither was an answer. Together, they made Landon's $2,000 offer look less like concern. She locked the front doors after Dawn left. Then she moved Charles's photographs into the office, placed the change bolt in an envelope, and called the county records office to ask what, exactly, she had inherited. The woman who answered transferred her twice. The third person asked for the parcel number. Brianna read it from the tax notice. That gives me the rink building and parking area, the woman said. What are you trying to locate? The land along Willow Road. Is that not included? I don't know. There was clicking on a keyboard. I can't give you a boundary opinion over the phone, the woman said. You'll need the recorded description or a survey. Would you have either one? We may have an older scan. You can request it in person. Can you tell me if there's more than one parcel? Not without a name or parcel number tied to the other property. Charles Cooper, more clicking. I have several records under that name. You'll need to come in with identification. Brianna checked the diner schedule taped beside the office phone. What time do you close? 4:30. She had no chance of reaching the office before closing unless someone covered the end of her shift. She called her manager and traded 2 evening hours for an earlier release. Isaac watched her gather the tax notice and photographs. You're losing pay, he said. I'm moving the hours to Thursday night when we plan to label the organ wires. We'll do it after. You've been awake? Yes. That was not my question. It was close enough. At the county office, Brianna sat beneath white ceiling panels while the clerk searched public records. She handed over her identification, the inheritance papers, and the tax notice. The clerk found the Rink description first. It was a block of measurements and directions Brianna could not picture. Does this reach Willow Road? She asked. I can print the map, but the map isn't a survey. The printed page showed Stardust as a large outlined shape. Near Willow Road, another thin boundary line crossed the front of the property. No owner name appeared inside it. What does this line mean? It could be an old parcel boundary. It could be a mapping line. The scale on these scans isn't reliable. Can you search my grandfather's name for that section? The clerk did. She found a reference to a survey filed several years earlier, but the attached image had not been added to the public scan. You can order the archived copy, she said. How long? Usually 5 to 10 business days, Brianna counted in her head. Even 5 days mattered now. I need it sooner. You can submit the request today. That's the fastest route. Brianna filled out the form and paid the copy fee. Before leaving, she asked about the delinquent taxes. The clerk directed her to another counter, where Brianna learned that the 45-day cure period had started on the date printed at the top of the notice. Nicole had received it 9 days before giving it to her. So, I have 36 days, Brianna said. The woman behind the counter checked the calendar, through the close of business that day. What happens if I pay part? The balance remains delinquent. Can I enter a payment plan? Not after this notice was issued. Brianna looked at the amount again. Is there any way to extend it? Not at this stage. She thanked the woman because she had been raised to thank people even when they gave her bad news. Outside, she sat in her car with the map spread across the steering wheel. The narrow line along Willow Road looked obvious now that Dawn had mentioned the frontage. It was still only a line. Brianna did not know whether it marked separate land, an easement, or an error left in an old scan. She called Nicole. I need Grandpa's property files, Nicole answered cautiously. Which property? Stardust. You have the files that were there. Do you have the estate copies? The lawyer gave you everything related to the Rink. There's a survey missing from the county scan. A survey for what? I don't know yet. The front boundary isn't clear. Nicole went quiet. Did Grandpa ever talk about selling land along Willow Road? Brianna asked. He talked about offers, for the Rink, for the property. I didn't pay attention to every detail. Dawn Fisher said buyers wanted the frontage. Why are you talking to Dawn Fisher? She came by. About what? She works for a grocery cooperative. Nicole understood the financial meaning before Brianna did. Her voice changed, becoming slower and more careful. Did she make an offer? No. Did she give you a number? No. What did you show her? Nothing private. Brianna, you cannot discuss family property with a buyer when you don't understand what you own. It's my property. The Rink is yours. If there's some other parcel, that may still belong to the estate. Brianna looked at the map. Do you know that? I know Charles intended his property to stay together. That isn't an answer. It's what he always said. Dawn said he considered selling the road frontage separately. Dawn worked at a snack counter 30 years ago. She also helped with his paperwork. Nicole gave a tired sigh. Come over tonight. Bring what you have. Landon and I will look at it. The invitation caught Brianna where Nicole meant it to. Come over. For 1 second, she pictured sitting at the kitchen table with a plate in front of her. She pictured the blue bowl in the hallway and her boxes returned to the bedroom. Then Nicole added, We need to make sure you don't sign anything. Brianna folded the map. I'm not signing anything. That's not enough. If buyers think you're desperate, they'll use it. Are you worried about me or the land? I'm worried about both. I'll order the survey. You shouldn't do this alone. Then why did you leave it to me alone? Nicole's silence lasted only a moment. We can create an agreement, she said. Joint approval for any sale or loan. Temporary, until the taxes are handled. You want control of Stardust? I want to protect the family from a bad decision. The taxes don't spread to you. You already checked. Not everything is about the taxes. It was the first honest sentence Nicole had given her. Brianna ended the call without agreeing to visit. When she reached the rink, Isaac had removed the organ's rear cover and placed numbered paper tags beside each wire. He had also found a heavy furniture dolly from a rental company. It sat near the platform, bright orange and too small beneath the cabinet. $30 a day, he said. We don't rent it until the organ is ready. Brianna showed him the map. He followed the boundary line with one finger. I remember survey stakes out front. Dawn had a photograph of them. Charles got angry when people parked trucks near the road after that. Why? Said they were crossing a line. What line? He didn't explain. Useful information, but still not enough. They spent the evening tracing organ connections. Brianna numbered each tag in her notebook, while Isaac tested wires. The work was slow because several cables had been added at different times and fed through the platform without labels. At the base section, Isaac found a power lead passing beneath a metal brace. This has to come free before anything moves, he said. Can it? Yes, if we lift the pedal assembly. What does that require? 2 people and better light. The main floor lights remained isolated because of the roof moisture. Brianna set work lamps around the platform, but their cords crossed the rink and created another hazard. Isaac looked upward. We need that roof stabilized. I thought the organ was the next job. It was, before we learned we couldn't see what we're doing. The north leak isn't over the organ. No, but the damaged section feeds water along the ceiling frame. If it reaches another circuit, we shut down more of the building. They walked to the north wall. A brown stain had spread beyond the red tape Isaac placed there days earlier. Brianna touched the wall below it. Dampness cooled her fingertips. How fast is it moving? Depends on the next storm. Her phone showed rain forecast for Friday. How much to stop it? Materials, maybe 1,200 if the metal underneath is sound. More if it isn't. I don't have 1,200, I know. Can we cover it? From outside, temporarily. We still need proper flashing. I can get paid Thursday. You need food Thursday. I get a shift meal. You need gas. I have half a tank. Isaac did not argue further. He knew the difference between advising her and deciding for her. They covered the organ again. The steel edge disappeared beneath the canvas and trim pieces stacked nearby. Brianna posted photographs of the cleaned repair counter on Stardust's page. She announced another Saturday opening and added that they would accept advance repair appointments. Within an hour, 9 people sent messages. One asked whether Stardust would sharpen speed skate wheels. Another wanted 4 pairs cleaned before an adult skating trip in Missouri. A former customer offered to donate a bench if the rink reopened. Then Landon called. Mom says a grocery company contacted you. Dawn visited. What did she offer? Nothing. What did she want? To understand the property. So do I. You inherited the rental house. That doesn't mean I stopped being part of the estate. The estate meeting is over. If Grandpa left a parcel out, it isn't over. Brianna looked at the numbered wire tags beneath the organ. I haven't found a parcel, she said. Then why are you ordering surveys? Nicole had told him everything within an hour. Because I'm checking what I own. You should have checked before refusing my offer. Does the offer change if there's road frontage? Landon did not answer. 2,000 wasn't about helping me, Brianna said. It was based on the rink and its debts. You didn't even inspect the building. I know the building. You didn't know the repair counter could open. A few skate repairs don't change the value. No, but something did. His voice hardened. Don't let Dawn talk you into separating family property. You offered to clear the lot yesterday. That would settle the taxes and give you whatever is left. I'd be taking the risk. Brianna heard a vehicle enter the side drive. Through the repair room window, she saw Nicole's car stop near the service door. She's here, isn't she? Landon asked. Did you send her? We need to discuss joint control before you create a mess nobody can fix. Brianna put the phone down without ending the call. She went to the service door but did not unlock it. Nicole stood outside with a folder beneath one arm. I brought the estate papers, she said through the glass. Brianna looked at the folder, then at her mother. Slide them under the door. Nicole's expression tightened. Open this door so we can talk. We can talk tomorrow with Isaac and Dawn here. This is family business. It concerns Stardust. I choose who's present. Nicole glanced toward the dark rink behind her daughter. Until that moment, she had expected Brianna's need for family to outweigh her caution. The locked door told her the balance had changed. I'm not asking for ownership, Nicole said. I'm asking for authority to stop a sale. I haven't offered to sell anything. Then joint approval shouldn't frighten you. It doesn't frighten me. I'm refusing it. Nicole held the folder tighter. You have 36 days, she said. After that, none of these boundaries will matter. Brianna already knew the number. Hearing her mother use it as pressure made the remaining time feel different. She did not unlock the door. Nicole placed the folder on the concrete, protected beneath the overhang. Then she returned to her car. Brianna waited until the taillights vanished before opening the door. The folder contained copies of the same inheritance papers she already had, but someone had added a yellow note across the front. Do not communicate further with buyer until family review. There was no signature. Brianna removed the note, turned it over, and wrote the date of the next repair opening on the blank side. Then she taped it to the front glass. The paper stayed there through the night. By morning, damp air had curled both lower corners, but the words were still readable. Brianna saw people slow their cars near the sign. Whether they were reading the date or staring at the broken letters above the building, she couldn't tell. Dawn arrived first, carrying coffee in a cardboard tray. Isaac came through the side entrance a few minutes later with a coil of electrical labels around his wrist. Nicole was 20 minutes late. She parked near the front doors and remained in her car long enough to make it clear that entering through a service door was not her choice. When she came inside, she looked at the cleaned repair counter, the work lights, and the floor scrubber. You got that back? She said. Brianna nodded. Landon returned it. Nicole touched the scrubber handle. He said it was barely usable. It works. Isaac moved a folding table into the repair room. Dawn set her coffee tray on it. No one has offered anything, Brianna said. That's the first thing we're settling. Nicole glanced at Dawn. Then, why is an acquisition manager here? Because Brianna asked a fair question, Dawn said. She wants to know what your father owned along Willow Road. My father intended his property to stay together. I heard him refuse buyers more than once, Dawn said. But that wasn't exactly his reason. Nicole's mouth tightened. You worked for him a long time ago. I stayed in touch with him. So did I. The two women looked at each other across the table. Brianna had expected Nicole to dismiss Dawn. She hadn't expected the familiarity beneath it. You knew she worked for the cooperative, Brianna said. Nicole did not look at her. Harrison isn't a large place. Then why act surprised when I told you? I was surprised she came here. Dawn removed a photograph from her folder. It showed survey flags along the road edge and Charles standing near the old Stardust sign. This was taken when a pharmacy group approached him, she said. They wanted the road strip. Charles asked whether their purchase would pay enough to repair the roof, refinish the floor, and keep an access lane open. Their answer was no. So he refused, Nicole said. He refused that offer. He refused every offer, because none protected Stardust. Nicole looked at the photograph, but did not touch it. Brianna leaned closer. He wanted the front land to pay for the rink. He said it was the only part buyers noticed, Dawn replied. He didn't want to trade it away just to delay another closing. That changed the meaning of the survey flags. Charles had not merely rejected development. He had been measuring whether the unwanted part could support the part he cared about. Why didn't he tell me? Brianna asked. Dawn answered carefully. I don't know what he told you. He didn't tell me any of this. Nicole shifted her purse higher on her shoulder. Charles made plans, changed them, then made different plans. We cannot treat every conversation as an instruction. No one is, Brianna said. I'm trying to understand the property, and I am trying to prevent you from risking it based on something Dawn remembers. Dawn turned toward Nicole. The cooperative has preliminary interest, that's all. If the frontage is usable and separately owned, we may discuss a purchase. We would not need the rink building. How much interest? Nicole asked. Enough to inspect records, not enough to make an offer. Nicole looked at Brianna. This is exactly why you need joint review. No. If that land belonged to my father and wasn't transferred, Landon and I may have rights. I'll have the records examined. With what money? The question landed where Nicole intended. Brianna had less than $100 after the utility deposit, copy fee, food, and gas. Her next paycheck would cover only part of the roof materials. "I'll find a way," she said. Nicole picked up her coffee but did not drink it. "Sign a temporary control agreement," she said. "I'll pay for the survey and taxes. If there's a reasonable offer, we decide together." Brianna understood what her mother was offering. The tax deadline would disappear. So would Brianna's ability to say no. "Where would the tax money come from?" she asked. "Grandpa's savings, the money you inherited. I would be using it to protect family property. And what would I own afterward? The same thing you own now. With you approving every decision, until the situation is stable." "When would that be?" Nicole did not answer. Brianna looked at the manager's office doorway. Her blanket was folded on the couch. Her diner shoes sat beneath the desk. The room was not a proper home, but every choice inside it was hers. "I'm not signing," she said. Nicole set the coffee down, untouched. "You think refusing help proves something. It proves I heard the conditions. You cannot pay the taxes, not today. You cannot even repair the roof." A drop struck a bucket in the rink. Nicole's eyes moved toward the sound. "I know," Brianna said. Nicole left without saying goodbye. Dawn remained beside the table. "My presence made that harder." "No. Money made it harder. It usually does. Would your cooperative buy quickly if the land works? After title review, inspection, internal approval, and a purchase agreement. Quickly is relative. I have 35 days. Dawn's expression answered before she spoke. "That is tight." "Could it happen?" "It could. I won't promise it." Brianna appreciated the refusal more than a soft assurance. By Thursday afternoon, the weather report had changed. The storm expected Friday was moving faster and carrying stronger wind. Brianna was serving a late lunch when Isaac called. "Water's coming down the north wall," he said. "Not into the repair room yet. I'll be there at 4. You may not have until 4. She looked across the diner. Every table in her section was occupied. "Move the stock," she said. "I'm already moving it. I'll call you back." Her manager was filling the register drawer. Brianna asked whether another server could take her tables. "Again?" the manager said. "I traded hours last time. You've changed 3 shifts in 1 week. The roof is leaking." "At your other job?" "At my building." The manager closed the drawer. "I need people who stay through the schedule. I know. If you leave now, I'm taking you off Saturday." Saturday was one of her better shifts. It was also the repair counter's next opening. Brianna looked at the tickets in her hand. She finished delivering the meals, told each table who would replace her, and entered her tips before leaving. Rain struck the windshield before she reached Willow Road. Inside Stardust, Isaac had covered the repair stock with plastic. Water ran down the north wall in 3 thin streams. One had reached an outlet box. "The breaker is off," he said. "The wall's wet above the wiring." The repair room remained dry, but the stain across its ceiling had darkened. Brianna changed out of her diner shoes and climbed the interior ladder with Isaac holding it. At the ceiling access, she saw water traveling along a metal support away from the original leak. "It's spreading," she said. "That's what I was afraid of." They could cover the damaged roof section from outside, but the wind made a loose tarp dangerous. Isaac had priced proper flashing, sealant, fasteners, and a section of replacement edge metal. The total was $1,140 before tax. Brianna had received her paycheck that morning. After adding the repair counter income, she had just over $700 available. "I can put the rest on my credit card," she said. "What's the limit?" $500. "What's the balance?" $210. "That doesn't leave enough. I can return the work shoes I bought." "You need work shoes." "I have the old ones. The soles leak. So does the roof." Isaac looked away, not because the answer was funny. The building supply store offered a short store credit plan. Brianna applied from her phone while sitting on the repair room floor. She was approved for $600 at an interest rate she read twice and hated both times. They bought the materials before closing. Isaac refused to let her climb onto the roof in heavy rain. They waited until the worst band passed, then worked beneath cold wind and a gray sky. Brianna carried tools and metal sections up the ladder. Isaac showed her where to step and how to keep her weight over the roof supports. The damaged edge was worse than it had looked from below. Wind had lifted a long piece of flashing. Water had entered beneath it and soaked insulation along the wall. They removed the loose metal and cut back the wet material. Brianna's gloves filled with cold water. Her shoulders burned from holding the replacement piece steady while Isaac fastened it. Halfway through, her phone rang inside her coat. It was the diner. She let it ring. They finished after dark under portable lights connected through the rear outlet. Isaac sealed the last joint, then made Brianna inspect every fastener herself. "If this is your roof, you need to know what done looks like," he said. From inside, they watched the north wall during the next hard burst of rain. No new water appeared. Brianna marked the edge of the old stain with a pencil and wrote the time beside it. 20 minutes later, the stain had not spread. The repair counter was safe. The organ circuit remained safe. She had protected both, but the materials consumed nearly all her paycheck, all the Rink income, and most of the new credit. The diner had removed her from Saturday's schedule. Her next reliable pay was a week away. Brianna sat on the Rink floor with her back against the rail. Her wet coat hung from a bench. Isaac brought 2 cups of water from the jug he kept in the repair room. "I thought I only had to keep this place long enough to pay the taxes," she said. "That was a large only. It's not enough anymore." Isaac sat on the bench facing her. She looked across the maple floor. Under the dirt, the board still held the faint painted curve from the old speed skating line. The snack counter waited in darkness. The organ stood covered at the far end. Even closed, Stardust kept asking for work. "If I pay the county and leave everything else like this, the next storm gets another part," she said. "Then the wiring, then the floor." "Yes. And if I sell the whole place to Landon, he clears it." That's what he said. Brianna picked up Charles's photograph from the bench. He stood beside the survey flags, looking toward the rink instead of the road. "The goal isn't keeping it out of the county's hands," she said. "It's making it useful enough to survive." Isaac took a drink of water. "That costs more. I know. It takes longer than 35 days. I know that too. What changes tomorrow?" Brianna looked toward the covered organ. "We stopped waiting for the survey to tell us what Grandpa planned," she said. "We finished the work he left inside." She stood, took the notebook from the repair counter, and crossed out the line that said, "Move organ when affordable." Beneath it, she wrote, "Move organ before next Saturday." The next morning, she called every customer who had sent a repair message. She offered appointment times, estimated prices with Isaac beside her, and asked for deposits on any parts that had to be ordered. By noon, 7 customers had committed. 4 paid in advance. The deposits belonged partly to Isaac and partly to replacement stock. Brianna separated each amount in the notebook before counting what remained for Stardust. It was enough to rent the furniture dolly and buy wire connectors. She called the diner after that. Her manager confirmed she had been removed from Saturday but still had weekday shifts. "I understand," Brianna said. "You can't keep leaving early. I won't promise something I can't guarantee." The manager was silent for a moment. "Then I can't promise the schedule stays the same. I understand that too." Brianna ended the call without explaining the roof, the taxes, or Nicole. She had spent too much of her life trying to make difficult choices sound acceptable to people who did not carry their cost. Dawn arrived that afternoon with a site map from the cooperative. It did not show ownership. It showed what the cooperative needed: an entrance from Willow Road, delivery access, parking, and enough distance from Stardust to keep the rink operating. "You drew around the building," Brianna said. "That was your condition. I didn't give you a condition. You said you weren't selling the rink." I listened. Brianna studied the proposed area. The outline covered the front strip and part of the outer parking lot. A wide lane remained open along the side of Stardust. Would this block the sign? "The sign may need to move. That sign stays with the rink. It could be moved closer to the entrance. It was Grandpa's. The pole is rusting." "I know." Dawn leaned one hand against the table. Keeping something doesn't require leaving it exactly where it's failing. Brianna looked at the faded star UST, visible through the front glass. "What do you need from me?" she asked. "Permission for a preliminary site inspection. No digging, no agreement to sell. We measure access and compare the usable area with our requirements. And then, if the site works, I ask our property committee whether they want to continue. No offer? Not yet. How long? A few days for the inspection. Committee timing depends on the result." Brianna read the permission form from beginning to end. It allowed Dawn and the cooperative's contractors to enter the front exterior area during daylight. It gave them no access to the building and no right to alter the property. She crossed out a line allowing interior photographs. Dawn initialed the change. Brianna signed. The inspection started the following morning. 2 people in reflective vests measured the road edge and outer parking area. They placed small orange flags in the ground. Dawn walked with them, answering questions and pointing out the side drive. Brianna stayed near the front doors and wrote down what they measured. She did not ask Nicole to review the form. She did not call Landon to warn him. Around 11, his truck slowed on Willow Road. It passed once, then returned and stopped across the street. Landon lowered his window. "What are they doing?" "Measuring." "For the grocery company?" "Yes." "You signed something?" "Permission to inspect." "You had no right to authorize work on disputed land." "No one has shown me a dispute." "I told you Grandpa kept the property together." "You also offered to clear it." "That doesn't mean you can give strangers access. They're not inside." Landon looked toward the orange flags. The visible outline made the possibility real in a way Dawn's name had not. "You're trying to sell before the family can stop you," he said. "I'm finding out whether the frontage can support Stardust. Using what proof? The survey is coming, and if it says the estate owns that strip, then I won't sell what I don't own." He had no answer prepared for that. One of the inspectors stretched a measuring tape near the roadside sign. Landon watched him. "You should have taken my offer," he said. "That offer is over. You don't decide that for me. I decide what offers I consider." She turned away before he could continue. The inspection finished by early afternoon. Dawn said the physical site appeared workable, but the cooperative would not spend more time on it until ownership and boundaries were clear. It was useful progress. It also placed orange markers where Nicole and Landon could see exactly what Brianna intended to investigate. Inside, the organ waited. Isaac had built 2 low wooden supports to carry the cabinet while they positioned the dolly. He tested each one by placing his own weight on it. "Today we label and disconnect," he said. "Tomorrow we lift. Why not do both?" "Because tired people lose screws and crush fingers." They started with the speaker cable. Brianna matched each paper tag to the numbers in her notebook. Isaac photographed the connection before removing it. The power lid came next, then the wires serving the pedal assembly. Behind the service panel, dust had gathered around old cloth-covered cables. Isaac cleaned them with a small brush. "Charles taught you all this?" Brianna asked. "He taught me the organ. I taught him not to touch live wires." "Was he bad at repairs?" "He was confident at repairs." "That bad?" "Worse." She smiled and passed him another label. Near the bottom of the service compartment, she found pencil marks on the unfinished wood. Most looked like maintenance notes, a date, a fuse size, the word hum with an arrow pointing toward a ground wire. Below them, partly hidden behind a cable clamp, were 4 faded numbers. "What's this?" she asked. Isaac adjusted the work light. "Could be a part number. There are spaces between them. Charles wrote everything down somewhere." Brianna photographed the marks. "Should we copy them?" "We just did." They did not guess what the numbers meant. The organ contained decades of service notes, and 4 digits could describe almost anything. By Friday evening, every external connection had been labeled and disconnected. The organ no longer made sound, but the cabinet was ready to move. Saturday's repair counter opened at 10. All 7 appointments arrived. People stood in the service hallway holding skates by their laces. Brianna checked each pair against the notebook, collected remaining balances, and directed work toward Isaac's bench. One customer brought coffee. Another brought a bag of clean shop towels after reading that Stardust was under repair. At noon, a woman asked whether she could look into the rink. Brianna opened the interior door, but this time she did more than let her stand at the rail. "Stay off the market area near the north wall," Brianna said. "The rest is safe for shoes." 5 customers walked onto the maple floor. They gathered near the organ, while Isaac explained that it was being moved for service. Brianna showed them the repaired roofline and the section of floor she had cleaned with the returned scrubber. The clean section was only 10 feet wide. Under the work lights, the maple showed a warm color hidden beneath years of dirt. "That floor is still good," someone said. Brianna had believed it. Hearing another person say it made the fact visible. A customer took a photograph of the clean boards and asked permission to post it. Brianna agreed on the condition that no one photographed the exposed organ connections. By 2, the repair counter had earned more than twice the previous weekend's total. Stardust's share covered the dolly rental, connectors, and a small payment toward the store credit. Isaac counted his portion, then placed part of it back on the counter. "Keep that for the wiring," he said. "No, it's my workplace too." "Then write what it buys." He wrote organ connectors and fuses on an envelope and put the money inside. Brianna accepted it that way. After the customers left, They cleaned the main floor with the scrubber. The machine pulled gray water from the boards. Brianna worked in slow, overlapping lines while Isaac moved benches and checked the floor behind her. By sunset, a broad section near the rail shone beneath the portable lights. Dawn returned after seeing the customer's photograph online. She stood at the edge of the clean maple in her work shoes. "You did this today?" With the machine, Landon returned. Charles would have complained about the streak near the rail. Brianna looked. "There's a streak?" He always found one. Dawn walked to the front windows. The orange flags outside remained visible in the evening light. "The inspection works physically," she said. "The cooperative wants me to keep looking. Without proof of ownership, only at costs and access, we cannot make an offer. Would selling the frontage leave enough parking for rink nights? If the map is accurate, yes. And deliveries wouldn't cross the main entrance? They could use the side nearest the road." Brianna placed 2 benches on the cleaned section. For the first time, the rink floor looked like a place someone might use, instead of a room being emptied. Her phone vibrated. Nicole had sent a photograph of the orange flags. "Call me now." Brianna put the phone back in her pocket. She and Isaac positioned the wooden supports beside the organ. They checked the dolly wheels, cleared the cords from the floor, and marked the cabinet's current location with painter's tape. "Once we lift it, we don't stop halfway," Isaac said. "Understood. And if anything shifts, you step back." "Understood. You don't try to save the cabinet. I heard you. I'm saying it twice because you look like Charles when you're determined." That stopped her. "Is that good?" "Not around heavy machinery." They returned at 7 on Sunday morning. The rink was quiet enough to hear the dolly wheels click over each seam in the floor. Isaac placed a lifting bar beneath the organ's left side, while Brianna steadied the cabinet. On his count, she pushed the support into place. They repeated the process on the right. The organ rose less than 2 inches, but it held. They slid the dolly beneath the center frame, lowered the cabinet carefully, and secured it with 2 wide straps. Isaac tested the weight before removing the wooden supports. "It's balanced," he said. Brianna crouched near the platform. With the cabinet lifted, she could see farther beneath it than before. The dark steel edge continued in a straight line toward the center. "We can roll it now," she said, "after we check every connection again." They moved around the cabinet together, comparing tags and photographs. Nothing remained attached. Outside, a truck door closed. Landon crossed the parking lot with Nicole behind him. He had seen the photograph of the clean floor, the survey flags, and Dawn's car. Now the service door stood open for ventilation, and the organ rested on a dolly. He stopped in the doorway. "What are you taking apart?" he asked. Brianna tightened the final safety strap before looking at him. "Something Grandpa wanted repaired," she said. Landon's attention dropped to the open platform trim and the steel beneath it. For the first time, he did not pretend he had no idea why it mattered. "Don't move it," Landon said. Isaac kept one hand on the cabinet. "It's disconnected and balanced." "I wasn't talking to you." Brianna stepped between Landon and the dolly. "Why do you care?" "Because you're tearing into something Grandpa built." "I'm repairing it." "You removed the base." The trim was already disturbed. Nicole came farther into the rink. Her eyes settled on the dark steel line beneath the platform. "What is that?" she asked. "We don't know yet." Landon moved toward the organ. Brianna held up one hand. "You stop at the rail. This is family property. Stardust is mine. The building may be. Anything Grandpa stored inside could belong to the estate." Brianna looked at him. "What do you think is inside?" "I don't know. You looked right at the steel when you came in, because half the platform is missing. You told me you never touched it." "I didn't." Nicole spoke before Brianna could answer. "This is getting out of control." "No," Brianna said. "It's getting specific." Nicole glanced at Isaac, then lowered her voice. "Can we speak privately?" "No. I'm your mother, and this is my workplace." The words seemed to embarrass Nicole more than anger her. She saw the cleaned floor, the repair counter, and envelopes labeled in Brianna's handwriting. Stardust was beginning to support Brianna's claim in ways paper had not. "I called Dawn's office," Nicole said. Brianna felt the shift before she understood it. "Why?" "To make clear that ownership of the roadside property is disputed. You don't know that. Neither do you. You could have waited for the survey. With people measuring land and putting flags in the ground, they had permission." "From you?" "Yes." Nicole drew a breath. Their property committee has been informed that any transaction may require estate approval. Brianna turned toward Landon. Was this your idea? It was the responsible step. You told a buyer, I don't control land you can't prove belongs to you. We told them the truth. There's a question. You created the question, the boundary created it. Brianna looked toward the front windows. From the rink, she could see the orange flags trembling in the wind. Dawn had warned her that the cooperative would not proceed without clear ownership. Nicole and Landon had given them a reason to stop before the archived survey even arrived. You want the deadline to run out? Brianna said. Nicole's face tightened. That is not what I want. What happens if it does? The county process moves forward, and then Landon can buy the property later. Landon shook his head. You're inventing things. Would you? If it came up for sale, I'd consider protecting a family asset. You offered me $2,000 so you could clear it. I offered to take the risk before you started inviting buyers onto land you may not own. Isaac released the organ and stood upright. Charles changed the service lock after your key was used, he said. Landon turned toward him. You don't know why he changed it. I installed the new lock. The rink went quiet. Brianna looked at Isaac. Why didn't you tell me? I told you Charles was angry. That isn't the same thing. No. When did he ask you to change it? The week after the scrubber disappeared. Landon gave a small, disbelieving laugh. So now taking a machine he let me borrow is some grand betrayal? Charles said. You didn't have permission, Isaac replied. He told you that? He told me to change the lock. Landon's face reddened. You were an employee. I owned my repair business then, same as now. You worked out of his building for free, because we had an agreement. You have paperwork for that? Do you? Nicole stepped between them. Enough. Brianna had wanted Isaac to speak plainly. Now that he had, the truth carried a cost. Landon would not see him as a neutral mechanic again. You kept that from me, Brianna said to Isaac. I didn't want your family argument becoming mine. It already was yours. I know that now. Landon pointed toward the organ. If you move this and damage it, don't expect the estate to cover anything. The estate hasn't covered anything, Brianna said. That's your choice. No. The taxes were left with the rink. The missing equipment was left with the rink. I was left with the rink. Nicole flinched at the final sentence. I offered to pay the taxes, she said, in exchange for control, in exchange for security. Yours, everyone's. Brianna walked to the service door and opened it. Nicole did not move. The offer is still available. No. You don't even know whether Dawn's company will come back. No. You could lose this building in a month. I know. Nicole looked toward the manager's office. Come home tonight. We can settle the rest after everyone calms down. Brianna's hand tightened on the door. Landon glanced at Nicole. He had not known she planned to say that. What does coming home require? Brianna asked. Nothing tonight. And tomorrow? We review the control agreement. There it was. Warmth for one night, permission required in the morning. Brianna held the door open. I'm staying here. Nicole picked up her purse from the rail. She walked out without looking at the orange flags. Landon remained. If there's something under that platform, he said, you don't get to decide it's yours. Neither do you. He followed Nicole outside. Brianna locked the service door. Isaac began removing his work gloves. You have a right to be angry with me. I am. I should have told you about the lock. Yes, I was trying to keep the repair stock here without getting between Charles and Landon. That worked well. No, it didn't. He folded the gloves once and placed them on the rail. Brianna wanted to ask him to leave. She also knew he had told the truth when it became costly to him. Both facts could exist at once. Did you keep anything else from me? She asked. Nothing I know would change what you're doing. That's careful wording. It's the most honest wording I have. She looked at the organ. We finished today. Isaac did not reach for his gloves. Not while you're angry. I'm not asking you to decide for me. I'm deciding whether I work around a heavy instrument with someone whose attention is outside that door. Brianna wanted to argue. Instead, she sat on the nearest bench and opened the notebook. She checked every connection again, then copied the faded pencil numbers onto a separate page. Isaac waited. After several minutes, her phone rang. Dawn spoke without her usual easy tone. The cooperative paused the site review. I know why. Nicole and Landon both contacted us. They claimed the frontage may be an estate asset. Does that end it? Not if you establish ownership. Until then, I cannot request an offer or spend cooperative funds on further inspection. What about the archived survey? It may show a boundary. It won't necessarily show current ownership. What will? Recorded title documents. Can you search them? Not for you. That has to be handled independently. Brianna looked at the tax notice on the office desk. If I prove the land is mine, will the cooperative return? If the site still works and our committee still needs Harrison, yes. It was not a promise. Dawn had never pretended otherwise. Thank you, Brianna said. Brianna, I need to remove our flags. When? This afternoon. Leave the holes visible. Dawn paused. Why? So I remember what I'm checking. When the call ended, Isaac put his gloves back on. You ready? He asked. No, but my attention is here. That will do. They returned to the organ. Isaac tested the straps. Brianna removed the last screws holding the pedal assembly cover and lifted it with both hands while he guided the wire bundle free. Beneath it, a metal anchor plate connected the cabinet frame to the platform. The plate was old, but its two bolts were not. Both matched the bright bolt from the outer trim. Someone opened more than the front edge, Brianna said. Isaac examined the tool marks. These were removed and put back. Could Charles have done it? He could have. Could Landon? Yes. The answer gave her no comfort. They loosened the anchor bolts. One turned, the other stopped after half a rotation. Isaac applied oil and waited. It still refused to move. If it breaks, Brianna asked, we drill it out. Today? Not with the bid I have. The dolly rental ended Monday morning. Extending it would cost another $30. A proper metal bit and replacement anchor would cost more. Dawn's inspection was paused. Brianna had lost her Saturday diner shift, and her available credit was nearly gone. Nicole's offer could remove the tax threat by morning. All Brianna had to give up was final authority over the place Charles had left her. She went to the office and opened the envelope holding Stardust's repair income. After the roof payment, it contained $46. She removed $30 and set it beside the dolly agreement. Then she called the rental company and extended the dolly for another day. When she returned, Dawn was outside pulling orange flags from the ground. Brianna watched through the front glass until the last bright marker disappeared. Isaac stood beside the organ with the damaged bolt marked in chalk. Tomorrow we drill it, he said. Brianna picked up Charles's photograph and placed it on the organ bench facing the platform. Tomorrow we move it, she said. The replacement bit cost $18. Isaac bought it with money from his organ parts envelope and made Brianna write the amount in the notebook. He arrived before sunrise with a drill, cutting oil, and a canvas pad to protect the platform. Brianna set the work lights while he centered the bit over the damaged bolt. You're sure nothing runs beneath it? She asked. No wire, no pipe. The anchor goes into the platform frame, and below that, concrete, unless the steel continues under it. He drilled slowly. Metal shavings collected on the canvas. Brianna held a vacuum hose near the bit and watched the bolt's center disappear. It took nearly 40 minutes. When the anchor finally released, the organ shifted slightly against its straps. The dolly held. Isaac rocked the cabinet with both hands. Free, he said. They did not move it. First, they removed the drilled anchor, covered the opening, and checked every strap again. Brianna inspected the platform for loose nails. Isaac tested the dolly wheels and marked the direction they would roll. The organ had to move toward the rink floor, then angle away from the wall. The portable lights and extension cords had to remain behind the rail. One wrong turn could pull a wheel off the platform edge. Brianna drew the path in chalk. Good, Isaac said. Now leave it alone. She looked at the cabinet. We could do it before lunch. We could also do it after confirming the floor will carry the weight. It's carried skaters for years. Skaters move. This load sits on 4 small wheels. They brought the floor scrubber around the organ and cleaned the intended path. Isaac checked the maple for lifted boards. Brianna laid 2 thick plywood sheets over the first section to spread the weight. By 10, the route was safe. Her phone rang as they finished. The county archive had located the missing survey. Brianna drove there with wet hair and sawdust on her jeans. She paid for the certified copy and carried it to a table near the records counter. The survey showed 2 outlined areas. The larger one contained the rink, rear parking area, and side drive. The smaller one ran along Willow Road. It had its own legal description and its own reference number. The clerk pointed to the survey date. This confirms the boundary is measured then, she said. It does not confirm who owns either area today. So, it was separate? It was described separately on this survey. Can you tell me why? No. A survey shows what was measured, not the owner's reason. Brianna wrote down the frontage reference number. The records index showed older entries tied to that description, but the names and abbreviations meant little to her. She did not ask the clerk to interpret ownership. The woman had already explained that title questions required an examination of the recorded chain. Still, one uncertainty was gone. The line on the map was not a printing mistake. Charles had paid to have the road frontage measured separately. Brianna called Dawn from the parking lot. I have the archived survey. Does it show two descriptions? Yes. Dawn let out a breath. That gives us an area to evaluate. It doesn't give you ownership. I know. Send me a copy. I can ask the site team to compare the exact description with our layout. Will that restart the review? The physical review, maybe. The title dispute remains. Brianna photographed the survey and sent it. Then she called Nicole. Her mother answered on the fourth ring. What happened? The survey shows the road frontage as a separate description. Nicole did not speak. Did you know? Brianna asked. I knew Charles ordered surveys. Did you know there were two areas? I may have seen a map. Why didn't you tell me? Because a boundary line does not give you another property. I didn't say it did. You're acting like it does. I'm acting like Grandpa separated the description for a reason. He considered many things. Did he tell you he wanted to use the road land to save Stardust? Nicole's answer came too quickly. No. Brianna heard what was missing. Nicole had not denied that Charles discussed the land. She had only denied those particular words. I'm moving the organ today, Brianna said. What does that have to do with a survey? I don't know yet. Then wait. For what? Until Landon and I can be there. Brianna looked through her windshield at the certified survey on the passenger seat. You told me to stop taking the organ apart, because you wouldn't explain what you were doing. I explained everything I knew. No, you accused Landon of hiding something. He had a key Charles replaced after the scrubber disappeared. That does not make him a thief. I didn't call him one. You let Isaac do it for you. Brianna closed her eyes. There was an easy answer available. She could post the floor scrubber receipt, the photograph from Landon's storage unit, and Isaac's account of the changed lock on Stardust's public page. Customers already followed the repairs. People in Harrison would understand the story quickly enough. Landon's property business depended on people believing he handled other people's belongings honestly. The same post would show Nicole had known the equipment was removed. It might make them back away. It would also turn Stardust's first returning customers into spectators at a family fight. I haven't told anyone outside this room what Landon did, Brianna said. Dawn knows. Dawn knows there's a dispute. That came from you. You're threatening us now? No, I'm telling you I won't use the Rink page against either of you. Nicole was quiet. But I'm not stopping the work, Brianna continued. If you want to see the organ moved, come at 5. Isaac and Dawn will be present. Why Dawn? Because she knew Grandpa, and the survey affects her work. This should be family only. No. You're choosing strangers over us. I'm choosing witnesses. The word hurt them both. Nicole lowered her voice. If you keep treating me like an opponent, there may not be a way back from it. Brianna looked at the keys in the ignition. Months earlier, that sentence would have ended the argument. She would have apologized, agreed to wait, and told herself she was preserving the relationship. Now she understood that a relationship requiring her not to look was already damaged. Then come at 5, she said. She called Landon next. He objected to Dawn, to Isaac, to the time, and to the fact that Brianna had already drilled out the anchor. Brianna repeated the invitation once. If you think the estate has an interest in anything under that platform, she said, you should want witnesses too. That brought him to silence. I'll be there, he said. Dawn returned to Stardust just after 4. She brought the old photograph box and a printed copy of her site layout. The separate description fits our inspected area, she told Brianna. The access lane still works. Does the committee want it? They want clear title before they discuss money. Could that happen before the tax deadline, if the documents are simple and if they aren't? Dawn did not soften it, then no. Isaac checked the organ again. He had placed wheel chocks beside the dolly and covered the keyboards with a padded cloth. Brianna showed Dawn the pencil marks inside the service panel. Do those numbers mean anything to you? Dawn studied them. Charles used 4 number codes for the old alarm. Was that the alarm code? No. That changed whenever an employee quit. Isaac looked at the spacing. Could be a date. There's no month that high, Brianna said. Could be 2 pairs. Dawn ran one finger near the writing without touching it. He penciled important numbers inside equipment panels. Said paper walked away. What kind of important numbers? Supplier accounts? Lock codes? Once, the combination for the cash cabinet. Brianna looked toward the steel beneath the platform. Did Stardust have a cash cabinet? In the office. Small green box. It disappeared years ago. The numbers remained only numbers, but Brianna copied them onto a card and put it in her pocket. At 5, Nicole's car entered the lot. Landon arrived behind her. Neither orange flags nor customers stood outside now. The building looked closed again from the road. Inside, the clean strip of floor led directly to the organ. Brianna placed the certified survey on the repair counter beside Charles's photograph. She set the envelope containing the change bolt next to it. Nicole read the survey first. Landon went to the platform and crouched near the exposed steel. "You haven't moved it yet," he said. "No. What do you expect to find?" "I don't know. That steel could be part of the building. Then we'll confirm that." "And if it isn't?" Brianna looked at her mother. "Then everyone here learns at the same time." Nicole touched the edge of the survey. "You could still let me pay the taxes. I could. I'm not trying to take your building. You're trying to control what I do with it, to keep you from losing it. The control would remain after the taxes were paid, until we knew what this is." Brianna glanced at the organ. "After tonight, we may know more. My answer is still no." That answer closed the last quiet route back to Nicole's kitchen table. Brianna felt the cost while saying it, but she did not take it back. Isaac positioned himself at the rear of the cabinet. Brianna stood near the front strap. Dawn waited beside the rail with her phone ready to document the move. Nicole and Landon remained on the clean section of floor. Brianna removed the wheel chocks one at a time. "We roll on 3, Isaac said. She placed both hands against the padded side of the organ and looked down the chalk path she had drawn. 1, Isaac said. The straps tightened. 2. The dolly wheels turned toward the plywood. 3. The organ moved 6 inches. 1 dolly wheel caught at the edge of the plywood. Isaac stopped pushing at once. "Back half an inch," he said. Brianna eased her side toward the platform. The wheel straightened. On the second try, it rolled onto the plywood. The cabinet was heavier than it looked. Its weight pressed through the dolly and made the maple floor complain beneath them. Brianna kept both hands flat against the padded side. They followed the chalk lines slowly. As the organ cleared the platform, more of the dark steel appeared. It formed one straight edge, then a corner, then another edge set into the concrete. Dawn lowered her phone. Nicole stepped closer to the rail. Landon came around the platform before Isaac told him to stop. "Stay clear of the path," Isaac said. "I can see it. Then you can see where not to stand." They rolled the organ to the center of the plywood and replaced the wheel chocks. Isaac checked the straps before anyone approached the exposed platform. Brianna crouched first. The wooden platform had been built around a rectangular steel door set flush with the concrete. Dust and old stain filled the seam. A recessed handle lay flat near one end. Above it was a round combination dial. Isaac looked from the steel door to the organ they had just moved. "Charles built the whole platform over a floor safe," he said. Nicole covered her mouth. Landon did not look surprised for long enough. "That safe is part of the estate," he said. "No one has opened it," Brianna replied. "It was Grandpa's. Whatever is inside belonged to him. And he left Stardust to me. He left you the building. Personal property is separate." Nicole moved beside Landon. "He may be right." Brianna looked at her mother. "You don't know what's inside. Neither do you. That hasn't stopped either of you from claiming it." "We are protecting the estate," Nicole said. "No," Landon added. "We're making sure you don't walk off with something that belongs to all of us." There was the false version spoken plainly. Stardust was Brianna's when it carried debt. Anything useful inside it belonged to the family. Dawn had recorded the safe's first appearance, but she stopped filming once the argument began. "We need to document the opening," she said. "We need an estate representative," Nicole replied. "You were already invited as a witness," Brianna said. "So was Landon. That does not give you the right to remove contents. I'm not removing anything until we know what it is." Landon bent toward the dial. Brianna moved between him and the safe. "Don't touch it. You don't have the combination." She took the card from her pocket. The 4 numbers penciled inside the organ panel could be meaningless. They could belong to the missing cash cabinet or an old supplier account. Still, Charles had hidden them where only someone servicing the organ would see them. Isaac knelt beside the dial. 4 numbers won't tell us direction. Dawn looked at the card. Charles started old combinations to the right. How do you know? Landon asked. I opened the cash cabinet every closing shift. That was decades ago. He kept habits longer than he kept furniture. Isaac cleaned the dial with a soft cloth. Brianna read the first number. He turned right, then left, then right again, listening for the mechanism. Nothing happened. Landon folded his arms. Those aren't safe numbers. Maybe we started wrong, Brianna said. They reversed the first direction. On the final turn, the dial stopped. Isaac looked at Brianna. Try the handle. She placed her fingers inside the recess and pulled. The handle resisted, then rose with a dry metal click. No one spoke. Brianna turned it. The seal around the door released with a faint breath. Isaac helped lift because the steel was too heavy for her alone. Inside lay one flat document case wrapped in clear protective material. There was no cash, jewelry, or stack of valuables. Only the case. Landon reached toward it. Brianna blocked him. Dawn documents where it was found. Then I lifted. This is ridiculous, he said. It was under my organ in my building. Grandpa's organ. Not anymore. Dawn photographed the case inside the safe. Then Brianna removed it and placed it on the organ bench. The protective wrap had been sealed with tape. Charles's handwriting appeared across the front. For Brianna. Keep with recorded copy. Nicole sat down on the nearest bench. Landon's face changed, but his voice did not. A name on an envelope doesn't decide ownership. No, Brianna said. It doesn't. She cut the tape carefully. Inside was a recorded beneficiary deed, a survey bearing the same frontage reference number as the archived copy, and a sealed letter. The deed named Brianna as the beneficiary of the frontage parcel upon Charles's death. A recording stamp showed it had been filed 6 years before he died. Brianna read the name twice. Nicole stood and took one step nearer. Let me see. Brianna held the deed where she could read without taking it. I've never seen this, Nicole said. Landon read the recording stamp. It could have been revoked. It could, Nicole said quickly. Your grandfather changed his mind often. Brianna opened the letter. Charles had written it in the same blocky hand used on the breaker labels. Brianna, if you found this, you stayed long enough to repair what other people only priced. The road parcel is recorded to pass to you. I kept the deed copy here because records tell ownership, but they don't tell purpose. The frontage can carry the cost of stardust if you make a careful agreement. Do not sell the rink to save the land. Use the land to save the rink. I put the combination where a person maintaining the organ would find it. You always watched how things worked before deciding they were broken. That is why this is yours to handle. Charles Brianna finished reading without raising her head. She had wanted an explanation from him for every burden. The letter gave her one, but it also gave her a duty. Charles had not left instant wealth inside the safe. He had left a way to make a choice, provided the recorded deed still had legal effect. Landon pointed toward the document. That letter isn't binding. The deed may be, Dawn said. Maybe, he repeated. Nicole looked at Brianna. No one should do anything until it's checked. I agree, Brianna said. That answer unsettled them both. She returned the documents to the case, locked it in the office filing cabinet, and gave the key to Isaac while Dawn watched. The next morning, Eric Gill met them at Stardust. He was 44, carried one slim file, and did not care about the family argument. Brianna appreciated that immediately. He compared the preserved deed with the county recording index, the archived image, the legal description, and Charles's death record. He also searched for later documents affecting the same parcel. Nicole and Landon sat at the repair counter during the examination. Dawn remained near the front windows. Isaac worked quietly at his bench. Eric asked Brianna 2 questions about her identification and one about the document's location. Then he closed his file. The deed was properly recorded, he said. It names Brianna Cooper as beneficiary of the frontage parcel at Charles Cooper's death. I found no later revocation or transfer. Landon leaned forward. What about the estate? The parcel passed under the recorded deed. It did not remain in the estate for division. Could we challenge that? Eric looked at him. I'm here to report the title examination. not advise you on a claim. Nicole's hands lay flat on the counter. So Brianna owns it? Yes. Separate from Stardust? It has its own legal description. Brianna owns both parcels through different transfers. That was all the authority did. Eric gave Brianna his written report, returned the preserved documents, accepted payment from the small amount Dawn had advanced for the title examination as part of site review, and left. He did not punish anyone. He did not tell Brianna what to do next. The rule had already been established years earlier. He had only confirmed it. Dawn opened her folder. With clear title, "I was authorized to bring this," she said. She placed a written offer on the repair counter. The cooperative offered $310,000 for the frontage parcel only. The Rink building, side drive, rear parking area, organ, and all other fixtures remained with Brianna. The purchase allowed enough time to settle the delinquent taxes at closing and preserve the access lane shown on Dawn's layout. Brianna read every page. Landon stood behind her. $310,000? Dawn nodded. For the frontage described in the deed. His $2,000 offer now sat in the room, without anyone mentioning it. Nicole touched the first page. That amount came from family land. No, Brianna said. It came from land Grandpa recorded to me. He was my father, and my grandfather. You shouldn't keep all of it. Brianna looked at her mother, then at Landon. What share of the tax bill did either of you offer without taking control? Nicole withdrew her hand. Landon's voice sharpened. This isn't about $24,000 anymore. For me, it still starts there. You could at least divide what remains after the taxes. The deed does not divide it, Brianna said. He never told us. He recorded it. He hid the copy under a roller rink organ. He put it where the person repairing Stardust would find it. Landon looked toward Isaac as if the mechanic had arranged the entire thing. Isaac did not speak. Brianna placed Charles's letter beside the authenticated deed and Dawn's offer. Nothing else was needed. No second account waited behind the safe. No new owner could appear and make the decision easier. Nicole had asked for authority because she believed Brianna would fail. Landon had offered to take Stardust because he believed its only value came from breaking it apart. Both beliefs had lost their power in the same room. Brianna signed the line acknowledging receipt of Dawn's offer, but not the acceptance line. I'll review the sale terms, she said. The frontage only. Landon pushed back from the counter. If you do this, don't expect me to pretend you didn't cut us out. Brianna met his eyes. I didn't cut you out, she said. Grandpa made a recorded choice. I'm going to honor what he chose. Landon stared at her for several seconds. Then he picked up his jacket from the back of a chair. Grandpa knew you couldn't afford this place, he said. He set it up so you'd have to sell something. He set it up so I wouldn't have to sell Stardust. That's what the letter says. It's also what I'm choosing. You think that makes you more loyal than everyone else? No, you're certainly acting like it. Nicole said his name quietly, but he ignored her. You had no problem asking us questions when you needed records, he told Brianna. Now you have money coming, and suddenly everything is private. The deed was private because you claimed it before you knew what it said. I claimed the family's interest. You claimed whatever had value. Landon picked up the copy of Dawn's site layout. You're giving away the best part of the property. I'm selling the part the cooperative needs, for more than this whole building is worth. That's why the Rink gets to stay. He put the layout down. For one moment, Brianna thought he might mention the floor scrubber, or admit why $2,000 had seemed fair when he believed she had no other choice. Instead, he looked toward the open safe. Charles always liked tests, he said. He made people prove they cared. Isaac stopped working at the repair bench. That isn't what happened here. You don't know what happened. I know Brianna did the work. Landon turned toward the service door. Then she can keep doing it. He left without saying goodbye. No apology followed. No sudden understanding softened him. The authenticated deed had removed his resale plan, not his belief that he deserved a share. Nicole remained at the counter. Dawn gathered the offer pages but left Brianna's copy in place. I'll wait outside. You can stay, Brianna said. This part isn't about my offer. Dawn went to the front entrance and stood beneath the overhang. Nicole watched her leave. I did not know about the deed, she said. I believe you. I would have remembered seeing your name. I believe that too. Nicole looked down at Charles's letter. He should have told me. Maybe. He let us divide everything while that was waiting under the floor. The deed already transferred the land when he died. That's not what I mean. Brianna knew. Nicole meant Charles had allowed her to believe the savings represented trust. He had allowed Landon to believe the rental house represented preference. Then, a document beneath Stardust showed he had made a different judgment years earlier. You opened the tax notice 9 days before giving it to me, Brianna said. Nicole's fingers tightened around her purse strap. Yes. Why? I wanted to understand whether I could be responsible. You understood that the first day? Yes. Why wait after that? Nicole looked toward the office where Brianna had slept. I thought if the deadline felt impossible, you would let Landon handle the rink. The answer was worse than an excuse and better than another denial. You wanted me to give it to him. I wanted the problem contained. I was part of the problem. Nicole's eyes filled, but Brianna did not move toward her. I was frightened, Nicole said. So was I. I know. No, you knew I had nowhere to sleep. That's different from knowing what it felt like. Nicole accepted the correction in silence. What do you want me to do? She asked. A week earlier, Brianna would have given her an easy task. Bring dinner, help with laundry, say she had not meant it. Now she thought about what had actually been damaged. Contact Dawn's office, Brianna said. Tell them you withdraw the estate claim. The deed already settles it. You created the delay. Correct it. Nicole nodded once. And tell Landon you won't support any demand for a share. He won't listen. You can still say it. Nicole opened her purse and removed her phone. She wrote the message to Dawn's office while Brianna watched. Then she showed Brianna before sending it. The message stated that Nicole had no ownership claim to the frontage and no authority over Brianna's decision. She sent it. Next, she called Landon. He did not answer. Nicole left a message. The title examiner confirmed the parcel belongs to Brianna, she said. I won't support asking her to divide the sale. I also won't sign or join anything challenging her control. Her voice shook near the end. She finished anyway. When she put the phone down, she looked at Brianna. Can I come back tomorrow? For what? To help. With what? I don't know. That's the problem. Nicole took the words without defending herself. Call first, Brianna said. If there's a job, I'll tell you. It was not forgiveness. It was a door with a lock Brianna controlled. Dawn returned after Nicole left. She withdrew the claim in writing, Dawn said. Our title requirement was already satisfied, but the correction helps our committee. Brianna placed the site layout beside Charles's survey. I want the rink sign protected. We can relocate it at the cooperative's cost. Same sign, new letters where they're missing, no replacement that looks like your store. Dawn wrote the condition down. I need permanent access from Willow Road. The purchase documents include it. No delivery trucks crossing the main entrance during rink hours. We can schedule deliveries away from your posted events. And I want the cooperative to book adult community nights here. Dawn looked up. As a sale condition, as part of the relationship. Regular dates, paid at the normal rate once we open. I can commit our local staff program to 1 night each month for the first year. More would need committee approval. 1 night is a start. Dawn added it. Brianna read the purchase agreement over 2 evenings. She marked every sentence she did not understand and asked Dawn to explain it in ordinary language. Dawn answered what she could and directed title questions back to the written examination rather than pretending expertise. The final agreement sold only the separate frontage. It preserved the side access lane, required the cooperative to relocate the Stardust sign, and left construction scheduling around announced rink events. Brianna signed the acceptance. The closing occurred before the county deadline. At the tax counter, Brianna handed over a cashier's check for the full delinquent amount. The woman stamped the account paid and gave her a receipt. Brianna stood there looking at the stamp. That clears the delinquency, the woman said. There isn't another balance? Not on this notice. Brianna folded the receipt and put it in the same envelope that had once held $46 of repair income. Paying the taxes did not make the rink ready. It only removed the date that had been counting down over every decision. She paid the roof credit next. Then she placed most of the remaining sale money into separate accounts for restoration, operating costs, and a reserve she would not touch without writing down the reason. Isaac watched her label the folders. Charles used envelopes, he said. I'm using a bank. He would have complained about the fees. He isn't in charge anymore. Isaac smiled. No? Brianna took out a written agreement. It gave Isaac control of skate repairs and organ maintenance as paid work. Stardust would provide the space and utilities. His stock remained his. Major building decisions remained Brianna's. "You put the lock issue in here," he said. "I put access in there. You tell me who has keys. I tell you who has keys. We change a lock. We both know. That's fair. I'm still angry you waited. I know. Signing this doesn't erase it. I know that too." He signed. Their trust did not return to what Brianna had imagined it was. It became something clearer, with duties neither of them had to guess. They closed the floor safe after storing Charles's document case in a bank box. The safe itself remained empty. Brianna did not want the Rink's future hidden beneath the organ again. Moving the cabinet back took less time than moving it away. Isaac replaced the drilled anchor and connected each numbered wire. Brianna checked the notebook while he worked. When he pressed the lowest bass pedal, the note rolled across the empty rink. The abnormal vibration was gone. For the first time, the sound came only from the organ. Isaac played the note again. It filled the rink without the old rattle beneath it. He tried the other bass pedals, then moved through both keyboards. 2 keys still failed, and the volume control scratched, but the instrument stood solid on its platform. Brianna wrote the remaining repairs in the notebook. "You're making a list while I'm playing," Isaac said. "You're testing. I can test musically. 1 dead key near middle C." I heard it. Then we agree. They did not reopen the safe. The combination remained in Brianna's bank box with the deed set and Charles's letter. She kept a copy of the letter in the office, but not on display. It wasn't proof for customers or a story she owed anyone who walked through the door. The floor came first. A local crew removed the damaged finish in sections so the repair counter could stay open on Saturdays. Brianna watched the sanding machine pass over the maple. Gray boards turned pale beneath it. Old paint lines disappeared, but the small dark marks left by decades of wheels remained. The crew leader asked whether she wanted the boards stained darker to hide them. "No," Brianna said. "Seal what's here." She spent 3 days on her knees filling narrow gaps. Isaac worked beside her until his back objected, then moved to the rail and repaired skates. Nicole called before each visit. The first time, Brianna asked her to clean the kitchen shelves. Nicole arrived with rubber gloves and 4 kinds of cleaner. "Use the unscented one," Brianna said. "The other smell stays in the wood." Nicole put the other bottles back in her car without arguing. They worked on opposite sides of the snack counter. Brianna removed old drawer liners. Nicole scrubbed grease from the metal shelves. Near noon, Nicole opened a cabinet and found a stack of paper cups printed with faded stars. "These should be thrown away," she said. "Yes." Nicole placed them in the trash. It was a small thing, but Brianna noticed. Her mother had asked before deciding what belonged in Stardust. The second visit was harder. Nicole brought lunch and stayed after they ate. "If you need help keeping track of the restoration money, I can do that," she said. "I have a system. I know household accounts. This isn't a household account." Nicole folded the empty food wrappers. "I was offering, and I'm answering." The old tension rose between them. Nicole looked ready to explain why Brianna was being defensive. Instead, she carried the trash to the kitchen. "All right," she said. She came back the following week anyway, this time to paint the restroom doors. She did not ask for a key. Landon did not return. He sent one message asking whether the sale had closed. Brianna replied that it had. He sent a thumbs-up symbol that meant nothing she could rely on. When Nicole mentioned inviting him to the first community night, Brianna did not forbid it. "He knows the date," she said. "He can buy a ticket like anyone else." Landon did not come. His absence no longer stopped the work. The cooperative's construction began at the road edge. For 2 weeks, trucks entered through the wrong side of the property because the temporary delivery route was easier. The first time, Brianna redirected the driver. The second time, she called Dawn. "The agreement says deliveries use the road entrance," Brianna said. "I know. 3 came through Stardust's side drive today. I'll handle it. I don't want to promise. I need a barrier before Saturday." Dawn arrived that afternoon with 2 temporary posts and a chain. She stood with Brianna while the construction supervisor moved the delivery sign. The next truck used the proper entrance. Later, the cooperative paid to remove the rusted Stardust sign from its old pole. Brianna watched workers lower it onto padded supports. The missing letters were remade to match the old blue type. The repaired sign went up beside the rink entrance, clear of the cooperative's driveway. When its lights came on, the full name appeared over Willow Road again. The kitchen took longer than expected. One refrigerator could be repaired, the other had to be removed. Brianna chose a smaller replacement and spent the difference on a proper hand-washing sink. She learned which expenses customers noticed and which ones inspectors noticed. The inspectors came first. The rink lighting required new wiring along the north wall. Isaac helped plan the circuits but did not pretend to be licensed for work beyond his role. Brianna paid for the proper repair. When the overhead fixtures came on together, half the bulbs were the wrong color. The floor looked yellow at one end and blue at the other. "We could call it atmosphere," Isaac said. "We could change the bulbs." They changed the bulbs. The old manager's office became the entrance to a compact apartment. A narrow stair rose from the back of it into unused storage space above the service rooms. The builders added insulation, a shower, a kitchenette, and windows facing the rear lot. Brianna kept Charles's desk downstairs for rink work. The cracked couch was removed last. She stood beside it while Isaac carried one end. "You sure?" he asked. "I slept enough on it." They took it outside. Her apartment furniture was plain: a bed, a small table, 2 chairs that did not match. The first night she slept upstairs, she woke before dawn and listened for buckets. No water fell. She went downstairs anyway and checked the north wall. The pencil mark from the storm remained, but the stain had not moved. The repair counter expanded to 3 days each week. Isaac ran appointments and trained Brianna on jobs she had once only watched. His name appeared on the front window beneath stardusts. When a customer tried to pay Brianna for one of Isaac's private stock items, she sent the money to his account. When Isaac promised a rush repair that required keeping the counter open late, he asked before changing the hours. The written agreement did not make them less generous. It made generosity easier to recognize. On the afternoon before reopening, Dawn arrived with a box of old photographs. Brianna chose 6 for the lobby wall. One showed Charles beside the organ after its installation. Another showed Dawn behind the snack counter. A third showed Isaac holding a wheel in one hand and a wrench in the other. Brianna included no photograph of the open safe. "That's the part people will ask about," Dawn said. "They can ask. What will you tell them?" "That Grandpa left me instructions and I followed them." Dawn smiled. "He would complain that you shortened the story. He isn't in charge anymore." Opening night sold out at a number Brianna had chosen for safety, not maximum income. Adults who had skated at Stardust years earlier stood beside younger coworkers and neighbors. Some brought old skates, others rented pairs Isaac had rebuilt from the usable stock. Nicole arrived early and waited at the ticket window. "You don't have to pay," Brianna said. "Yes, I do." She placed the admission money on the counter. It was not repayment for the lock, the delayed notice, or the attempt at control. It was simply the right way to enter a place that no longer belonged to her. Brianna gave her a wristband. When the overhead lights dimmed, Isaac sat at the organ. The first chord came through cleanly. Wheels began moving across the restored floor. Brianna remained near the rail for the first song. She watched the traffic pattern, checked the entrance, and noticed one loose lace before its owner did. Dawn came beside her, wearing rental skates. "The cooperative's monthly night is on the calendar," she said. "I saw the deposit. You check quickly. I check everything." Dawn pushed away from the rail and joined the floor. The first evening exposed problems. The kitchen line moved too slowly. One restroom latch stuck. A speaker near the far corner cut out twice. Brianna wrote each problem down after closing. The next community night ran better. By the third, the kitchen had a simpler menu, the latch worked, and the speaker stayed on. Nicole volunteered at the drink counter only after asking who was in charge. When Brianna told her, Nicole followed that person's instructions for the entire shift. She did not reach for the cash drawer. Near the end of the night, Landon's truck passed slowly on Willow Road. It did not turn in. Brianna saw it through the front windows. She watched until it disappeared beyond the cooperative's lit sign. Then someone at the rental counter needed a different skate size, and she went back to work. Months after the tax notice had been stamped paid, Brianna opened the old envelope and added the first full quarter's property tax reserve. She closed the drawer before going upstairs. The apartment lights were already on because she had left them that way. She still carried every key on one ring. The brass star key opened the front doors. Isaac had a service key recorded in the notebook. Nicole had none. On nights when Nicole visited, she knocked. Sometimes Brianna let her in for coffee after closing. Sometimes she said she was tired and they tried another day. Nicole learned that a closed door could be an answer without being a punishment. If stories about young people rebuilding a life after family betrayal matter to you, subscribe and return for the next inheritance story. The next adult community night ended shortly before midnight. Dawn helped stack rental skates at the counter. Isaac covered the organ after checking the bass pedals. Nicole wiped the last table, placed the cleaning cloth in the kitchen sink, and left through the front entrance with the other guests. Brianna walked the rink once more. The maple floor shone beneath the low closing lights. The repaired Stardust sign cast blue across the front glass. Behind the counter, tomorrow's repair appointments waited in Isaac's neat row. She checked the kitchen, tested the service door lock, and turned off the organ circuit. Then she stood at the rail while the final lights faded over the empty floor. Upstairs, warm light showed through the apartment windows. Brianna locked the operating rink after community night, then walked upstairs to the lit apartment she called home.